11:59 at Radio Free America, and this is Uncle Sam with music and the truth until dawn. Right now, I got a few words for some of our brothers and sisters in the occupied zone. The chair is against the wall. The chair is against the wall. John has a long mustache. John has a long mustache. It's 12 o'clock, Americans, another day closer to victory. And for all of you out there on or behind the lines, this is your song.
All right, I have myself locked out. I just noticed this thing, so we'll talk about that in a second. Welcome, everybody, to our daily gun show. We come to you live every weeknight at midnight or so Eastern, and we talk about guns for an hour or so. Our goal is to actually talk about guns all night long. So we have a link down at the bottom of the screen there. I'm not screen sharing. We have a link down at the bottom of the screen there. That says our Patreons make it possible for us to spend time on projects like these. Thank you. So we're saying thanks to our Patreons, about 134 people right now, as of today, that subscribe to the projects that we do. Most of them are buying us a cup of coffee each month. Some of them are buying us lunch once a month. That adds up, and then the Patreon's platform, that system, collects all that, sends it to us. That pays a bunch of our bills and makes it possible for us to spend time on projects like these and to build all the websites that are gun websites. We've got lots of different things out there, including calendars and review sites and photos and different things that we've created over the years. So for the last 1,400, almost 1,500 episodes now, so that's 1,500 weeknights or something like that. We've been going live with our daily gun show. Each night we we have a different topic, and tonight we have Gizzard on, joining us from Kansas. Thanks for jumping in.
Well, thank you for having me.
You bet. So we were over in Barbecue's chat, and he went out to go let his dogs out. So I don't know if he's going to jump in or if he's still going to be awake or whatever, but he's welcome to. So thanks for joining us. And sorry again to all the people who are joining us live. It's probably fewer than normal because we're an hour something late. Barbecue had a good show, and it was just going on and on. We kept talking about stuff. So again, I appreciate everybody who's patient. I figure, well, we've talked about this in the past, but most of the people that are listening to this show are probably night owls at least, or insomniacs, or working or something. Oh, dang, did I just lose that little thing, that message? I guess I did. So I had a weird message in my chat, and I was going to blow this thing up so I could show it to you. It said something to the effect of the moderation is now hidden. Did you see that message show up on a live chat recently? You do live chats.
I haven't. I heard somebody else say they saw that too.
I should have got a screen capture of it before I fiddled with it. I tried to blow up my screen here to see it, and let me try to refresh now and see if it'll come back. So it's some sort of new alert, and that's how YouTube tells us as creators that something's changed or there's new to something. So I didn't know if it was a new cool thing or if it's just some nag or if it's something in between. But man, my internet's not fast. I haven't paid my internet bill this month, so if anybody's interested in buying stuff from the Gear website store, it's a great week to do it. But I don't know if my internet company holds it against me when I don't pay the bill, but I kind of feel like they slow my internet down when I haven't paid the bill. Wow, it's taking forever. So is that a good sign? Is it still loading? Oh, it loaded all the way. So now I'm going to try it again. Anyhow, I'm being distracted by that. So tonight, well, I am going to need the screen capture here, so hopefully the screen starts working again. But tonight, it's 2-8 Tuesday. I figured what I like to do occasionally is dig into Instagrams and check out what's happening over there. on Friday nights, I kind of do a YouTube centric look at what other people are doing on what our Second Amendment protects, or at least what people are doing on YouTube that's focused on what our Second Amendment protects. And there's just as much interesting things happen on Instagram. If I can't say more, but there's definitely as many interesting things happening. Hold on, is this any? This is better, right? Trying to move all this stuff from hanging around in front of me. Wow, this is not good. Is my audio breaking up?
No, you sound fine to me.
Okay. Just barely came back. So I'm just saying I was going to do a poll, but I'm hesitant. I'm going to close YouTube. I think it's just maybe it's just got too many things open. I do have a bunch of YouTube stuff open over here on this other tab. I'm going to go ahead and close this other tab with like 700, or I have another window open with like 700 tabs. So maybe that will save some. And I think I've got it all closed now. All right, so heading back over to this window is Instagram. That's what we're sharing on the screen. And I'm heading to my Instagram page, and then I go to what's called the saved, so that one of the features of the Instagram platform is that you can tag images to be, or posts, I guess, to be put into folders on your account. And I put a bunch of the stuff that I find from other people into this folder. It's kind of like the recent folder. That's what we're going to go take a look through. So as I'm scrolling back there, I'll say hey to everybody that's out there. DJ was out there, but I suspect he's not because he booked out out of Barbecue's chat. Chicago Mike is out there, though. Welcome. Good evening. Roy is out there. Good evening. Gizzard pulling the double duty in both here and out there. And then Gunswater. So if you're out there and you're not chatting, well, actually, I think everybody is chatting if I'm reading the screens correctly. So welcome, everybody. You are the audience tonight. You're not really the audience. You're the people in the conversation. I don't think of this as a production as much as a conversation that I host each night. I can't remember how far back I was. So how often do you use the Instagram? Is it like a big part of your thing, or is it just a necessary part of your projects?
I'm on Instagram every day.
I guess I should say, is it something that you enjoy, or is it something that you do as like a task?
I enjoy it. I don't like the restrictive nature of it. It's getting more and more restrictive as to what you can show on there, gun content wise and stuff like that. And as a matter of fact, if you, and I can't specifically tell you where, but it will tell you in Instagram policies that they will not promote your channel as much if you feature gun content. They pretty much come right out and say it. If you mention firearms in your description, or if you post anything firearms related, then they will not promote your content to other viewers as much as they will if you do not do so. So, in other words, they kind of shadow ban you if you're a firearm creator. So, it's not a real inspiring environment to be in.
Yeah, that's for sure. You're definitely fighting against the current. Barbecues out there. You got a link. I'd left a link in your chat if you want to jump in or not. In the private chat of your old chat or whatever. Otherwise, thanks for the fourth thumb over there. So yeah, and I just had a channel. One of my channels got killed on Instagram. So I don't know if it was killed for guns or if it was killed because they think it's spam. It's the Shooter's Almanac channel. So it's essentially just a bunch of gun history, all my gun history posts by themselves. That was my goal, is to put all those on their own channel so that, because right now, if you look at my channel, every once in a while I'll say like, oh, somebody's born today or some event happened or whatever. So I wanted to put all those on their own channel. So just if somebody wanted just that, they didn't have to weed through all my other crap. and it essentially said, I went in there to try to schedule some stuff in there, and it said, "Hey, thanks for trying to log on, but your account's canceled until we verify who you are." And you know what I mean? I don't know if that has anything to do with guns, or if it was some other weird reason, or if it's just we don't want spam accounts and we need to verify who people are or who owns accounts or whatever they want to call it. So I don't know if you made more than one account on Instagram, if you've had to deal with that. That's an account that's probably more than a year old. Actually, probably way more than that. I guess I can't tell because it won't let you access the account once it's killed. But I feel like I've had that one for a while. It's been kind of stagnant, and I think it got on their radar because I tried to log into it or something.
Well, I know
Anyways,
I have 2 or 3 different Instagram accounts, but one's just a personal one that I use for friends and family that really has nothing to do with the channel. So, but
and they
yeah,
usually don't bother those unless you're, I guess, trying to post pictures of guns for sale or something that
no,
they think is
the
guns for sale.
worst thing it would have is pictures of George, and stuff like that. No, it's more for family pictures and stuff like that.
All right, so we're down to, let's see, February 12th. So let me look at an actual calendar here and figure out how that works. That's essentially last Sunday. So we're going to assume that was the last time I was checking this thing out. This is from Rick Ector talking about how he went to a thing, or he's going to a thing, April 25th, a Teal for 2A fundraiser. So this one is held at Hinsdale College. Am I supposed to know where that is?
That's an online college, I believe.
Oh, well, that doesn't. Held at Hinsdale College. Oh, maybe it's an online thing. Because it doesn't say anywhere
I
on
took
here.
a course on the Constitution through Hillsdale. It is an accredited institution, but I believe it's all online.
Okay, well, then maybe that's why it doesn't say where it is. It just says when it is. It does say held at Hillside College Cyril Center.
Well, they must have a brick and mortar
Yeah,
facility
there's
somewhere
somewhere.
then.
And it looks like maybe there's another part of this brochure or something that I don't see. But anyway, it looks like at least the picture has Brooke Cheney and Antonia and Carrie Ann, Kellyanne and Amanda and Diane and um, uh, Amy and that girl and her and her and her and whoever else this is. So, and then Rick. So I don't know. Yeah, so I'm not sure what he's doing, but wherever Hinsdale is, I guess I'll have to find out where that one's at. And I guess if you're a Second Amendment activist, we're down to 3 people, so I don't know if anybody's watching this, but if you're listening to this in the future, listen to this in the morning or something, and you're a Second Amendment activist and you want to talk about Instagrams, I learned a lot about Instagrams this weekend. So we can have some conversations about Instagram. Happy to say my friend Tony is over here kicking butt. He has a lot of interesting insight about Instagram. How do we defeat the divisiveness that those in power need to create to remain in power? Honest conversations, the people along the political landscape is what happens at the two. Second is for everyone diversity shoots. This is what I've learned. First, establish what we have in common. Second, what are our preconceived ideas? Third, discussion of viewpoints and misrepresentations or misperceptions, I guess that word is. And then fourth, facts are stated, lies and propaganda exposed. Fifth, shooting guns. Sixth, eating. Seventh, education. Eighth, fun. Ninth, let's do it again. 10th, never let outside forces stop honest conversation between citizens. So, Tony's got some cool insight. He's got some cool perspective on it. And these posts are getting a lot of views. So it's pretty neat to see that's being, so it's getting so much reach. This one's from Firearms Policy Coalition, Minnesota. with HF 14. I don't know. Have you paid any attention? Have you seen the stuff that's happened in Minnesota right now?
I do. I don't have any knowledge of it, no.
It's a pretty crazy, I'd say heinous. I mean, it's to where you go, well, they can't. I mean, everything that you've ever heard of, like it's a tax on ammo, like you have to have a permission slip to buy a gun, you have to have a permit to carry it and own it, and you have to safe storage it. You can't have any magazine, like everything you could possibly think of. It was just crazy. It was like an hour worth of reading, just insanity on top of insanity in this bill. And I mean, I guess if it went through, it would be like the most worst thing ever. It's like way worse than anywhere. It's like everything, it's like a buffet of everything bad thrown into this one bill. So at least I was listening to it from the Minnesota group when they were talking about when it first came like presented. I haven't seen like a oh, I don't, it's not Snopes. There's a government watch type of website that you can check on bills and it'll give you an idea of what the percentage chance of it going through. I'm assuming this thing has like a 1% or a 2% just because it's so over the top. But it needs to be defended against. You know, it's one of the ways that they break the metal isn't by being stronger than the metal, it's just by fatiguing it, bending it back and forth until it gives. So they can throw this crazy stuff and keep throwing that crazy stuff, and eventually something's going to stick. I guess I do remember posting this one. This is in Kansas. So now that we got Gizzard in here, sucker, this was all a bait and trap or whatever, bait and switch to get you in here, to get you to have to talk about this. So this is Rebecca Schmoy. You may have heard of her.
I've met her a couple, 3 times, yes.
Says this: the demanding moms in their red shirts are visiting the Kansas Capitol today. They are emboldened by our governor, who wears their shirt and parrots their narratives. Where are my fellow 2A advocates, and why haven't we scheduled a 2A day in Topeka yet? Let's be purposeful in making our voice of liberty heard. So we see Rogue is in there. DC Project made a post, and then I posted in there. So I posted they don't even fill the seats, and that usually when the pro rights events happen on our side, we're filling the hallways and it's standing room only, and we overflow the hallways and stuff. At least I like to remember those events. It's not like that always, but this doesn't seem like a huge crowd of enthusiastic people as much as a bunch of people. Some of them are looking at their phones, and other ones are kind of just sitting there waiting their turn or sitting there politely. And they're all just wearing these T-shirts on the outside of their clothing. None of them seem real comfortable wearing these T-shirts like they wore T-shirts to the event. They all look like they just put a T-shirt on. But even still, I'm giving them a bunch of benefit of the doubt or whatever. Nice looking photo op from here for sure. I'll shut up. What do you think? Is this where are you at with this as far as an actual Kansas?
I replied back to her. She also posted on her Twitter account, and I replied back to her there. It's like, as far as the 2A advocates, where is our Kansas State Rifle Association, and why aren't they saying anything about this? Who does speak for the people of Kansas if not the KSRA? I mean, you've got to have a central organization to make people aware. Thank God for people like Rebecca, who is good to get the word out, but she's just one state representative. We need a whole bunch of state representatives, people even on the national level, calling attention to this and say, Kansans, speak up. We are in this state fairly slow to respond to anything like this because, in my opinion, we feel like we're not very vulnerable. I mean, which is probably a byproduct of having constitutional carry like we do. we don't feel as threatened as other states. But as you've seen happen in other states, political tides can turn at the drop of a hat. I mean, you can see we have a Democratic governor, have had for a while. Um,
And it doesn't take like a change in political whim, like a ballot initiative can be deadly, and sometimes just not being there to resist a bunch of testimonials and a vote or a committee hearing or whatever the terms are, and something can get slipped through, and something that normally would have a 2% chance jumps up to a 14% chance, like we saw with at the national level, at least with that last assault weapons bill or assault weapons ban right at the end of 2022. And it just kind of crapped out barely, literally at the last hours, right? But it was seriously being pushed all the way up to the last hours of the getting together. So that's the danger, right? If they're there to say we want crazy laws and no one's there to defend against it, then the people in the representatives may say, okay. But anyway, yeah, I don't want to put you on the spot, but I just realized that I did see this one or whatever. And I mean, first off, thanks to Rebecca again for everything she's doing and staying positive and just staying effective and being so ambitious and able, right? And again, think about when we were little, and everybody gives a shit for being old, but what the hell? Like, we're old, whatever. We live where we live, right? But when we were younger, what were the female role models in the gun community? Paxton Quigley, remember her? She was just I don't want to say Rush Limbaugh, but before Rush Limbaugh, when there was like writers that were the political extremists. I don't want to say extremists, just the people that had a political like gotcha position. Not necessarily extreme, just like off the norm. And for a while there, in like the 90s, I guess the 80s, like some of those people were authors. So she had written a book like armed and I'm not as afraid to be armed or something like that. So she was like legally armed or something like that. I forget the name of her book, but she was one of the first females at a national level to write a book about carrying a firearm for personal defense. And it was, I think, separate, but at the same time, the Heller lawyers were kind of doing their thing. So they may have been instigated by the same things. And I haven't been able to talk to people who are old enough to tell me about if there's some, common root there. Anyway, so I was just thinking of her, and then Annie Oakley, of course. Maybe if somebody was really paying attention, there was a couple of Olympic shooters and a couple of exhibition shooters, Miklik. Right, so like very few though. And nowadays, as a girl is growing up or a young person who wants to have a female role model, I mean, they've got people like Rebecca Schmoy, who is capable on so many levels and achieving, accomplishing so much on multiple levels. So I don't know how many people take that into account, but that's a powerful difference that we've got now that we didn't have before. Before the female role models were Pelosi and Feinstein. What a drastic difference.
Now, I have met Rebecca, and she is every bit of what she comes across in public. She is adamant about her support of the Second Amendment, and she's the real deal. And I want to kind of plug something else she did. She was, along with another Kansas state senator, co-introduced a measure in the Kansas legislature to standardize firearm safety programs in school districts along the lines of the NRA Eddie Eagle program. And that passed the Kansas Senate last week and is now in committee in the House. And it passed the Senate with a 49 or 30 to 8 vote, which means this year it's veto proof. It passed last year and was vetoed by the governor. They couldn't overturn it. That shouldn't happen this year. So if we can get that through the House, then that would be definitely a significant thing here for the state of Kansas, I believe. So she's doing the work for sure.
That's super cool. She also, she's we're taking for granted that she's running for office, she's accomplished. She ran for office and is now in office. That's a step that so many think that is like them and us. Like that's something that they do. Well, she was a Second Amendment activist for a long time, being vocal and inspirational, and like being at the places, doing the things, and decided that this was another level to take it to or whatever. Right? She's a lawyer and advocate, and I thought something else. She was like some kind of.
She is she's a member of 1 Million Moms Against Gun Control. She's been kind of
I thought there was, is in addition to being an attorney and an advocate, I thought there was like a third platform that she was running on. I might be.
Don't believe she's an attorney. I know she's worked in the banking industry.
Oh no, that's what it was. She's not an attorney. She was in banking and an advocate. And then was there a third? Or maybe that's what it was. Maybe it wasn't a third thing. Maybe I was wrong about that. Okay, so
DC Project. Don't forget that. So.
Well, yeah.
Yep.
But I was thinking something besides advocacy altogether. Like I thought there was something else that was a pretty major thing, because not just for us, for the gun side of it, but for her running for office, like, and not just being like, capable. I thought it was some other, not a hobby, but like some other area of interest that she was involved in. That was anyhow.
I think something else that's worth mentioning real quick is how she got her hat thrown into the political arena in the first place. And that was just simply that her representative in her area decided they were stepping down. And, she could have just as easily said, oh, well, it was nice to have you and all that. And, they could have had a member of the opposite side ended up taking over that seat. But, and it wasn't with a whole lot of
something else happened or something.
Yeah, it wasn't with a whole lot of notice, from what I understand either. Like, she had a few months to really prepare, and she, like I said, got that hat thrown in the political arena and ran with it. And look at the amazing things she's doing. So, and the reason I want to mention that is that anybody watching, if you're ever like, oh, I could never run for office, or granted, Rebecca Schmoy is incredible. But don't sell yourself short. If you take that time to prepare things like that, I think anybody could really make that difference.
All right, so Barbecue jumped in. Thanks for joining us. I just wanted to give you a little heads up and a warning. I don't want you to be upset. We're talking about powerful women in 2A.
Oh, wow.
At least we had.
Is this an assumption of my gender?
No, I just.
Okay.
When you used to do a show that empowered women, and then you're like, I'm going to quit mansplaining to these women how to be empowered or whatever you did.
Well, I like them mansplaining to me, and then they're like, you need to talk more. I'm like, oh, that wasn't part of this deal. I'm sorry. No, that is something that still has been on the burner. I don't even want to say on the back burner. Like, it's on the front burner. It is something that I want to get back to. I just, I need to figure out what I used to have a pretty dedicated schedule where I could tell the ladies, this is when I'll be available. When are you available? Any of these times work for you? And if they said, no, this is the only time that works for me, I could try and rework my schedule. But anymore, it's been so chaotic. I just need to start reaching out again and just start doing it, because I don't think my schedule is going to get any easier at this point. So at least not until Slider goes to school next fall. Once he goes to school next fall, if I can get a lot of these ladies to do interviews in the afternoon, I'll have, all morning and afternoon until kids get home from school to interview ladies for Two Women Wednesday, which would be pretty awesome. But as it stands right now, I'm just, there's always a kid in the house making noise. And so, like I said, I need to just nut up and start doing it again.
Right. He's done with his excuses. Now we'll talk about Nebraska. We'll mansplain what's going on with Nebraska and what they're doing wrong. So I don't know why everybody's calling it permitless carry. Why don't we do a poll for the people that are out there? There are a few people out there, and we'll see how many of them are on this channel, I guess. Where's my mouse? Come on, man. Here it is. So eventually I'll be able to open this up, and then I'll have to mute it because it doesn't remember that I told this to mute. So, all right. What's your guys' opinion on the term permitless carry versus constitutional carry?
Well, I'm gonna say for a second, I saw Four Box's Diner touch on this last week. Yes, and it was interesting because he actually took the stance that the term permitless carry is actually better than constitutional.
Well, I didn't know he's wrong, but yeah.
That's
like he's so wrong.
It was interesting. I didn't devote it to memory, so apparently I didn't agree with it. But no, I prefer the term constitutional carry over permitless carry because to me, if you're calling it permitless carry, that implies that they can still require a permit. Now, that may not be for the people that reside in your state, but anybody that is passing through might have to have a permit in their home state and have reciprocity with your state at that point. And I don't like that.
What do you think, Gizzard? Do you have a feeling on this? Do you have a position?
It's just for years and years we've been calling it constitutional carry, and I don't understand why we're having to split hairs over terminology like this. Some people, it seems to be a big deal. I think we all know what it means.
Well, with some states,
what are you doing? My dog is rolling on the keyboard. Sorry.
When they would pass their, quote unquote constitutional carry, it was only for the residents of that state. I'm trying to remember which ones had done that off the top of my head. And I think North Dakota, is that right, G?
Sorry, I'm typing and talking. Give me a second.
That's okay. But there's only been a couple of them, and they've since remedied that where they're like, oh yeah, no, we have constitutional carry where anybody can come to the state, and whether they have a carry permit in their home state or not, it doesn't matter. We're not going to monkey around with stuff like that. Right. But there were a couple that were like, hey, we have constitutional carry, and people would go there, and then they're getting hemmed up because they were still required to have a carry permit in their home state, and then there's reciprocity that was still required and things like that as well. And they're like, so I understand the splitting of hairs in that case because if that's how a state wants to have it, then it's not constitutional to me because if it was constitutional carry, anybody that's passing through their state, visiting, whatever, should not need any sort of permit or anything like that. It's because, hey, the Constitution, this is what it says, shall not be infringed, all that fun jazz, thanks. But if they're going to only require permits for out-of-state residents, well, then that's permitless carry for their residents. Sorry, I took the long way around on that one again.
Okay, so what were you asking me though before?
Because there's only been like two or three states that have done the whole permitless carry thing. I thought North Dakota was one, and I know they've since cleaned it up, and they're like, oh yeah, we are dumb, and that was dumb how we had that implemented. Now you can just come here from any state and carry if you want because we really do have constitutional carry.
Oh, are you saying the difference is that permitless carry is when, like, the states say if you're a resident you can carry, but if you're not a resident you have to have a
permit in your home state? Yes.
Okay, so then I haven't heard that differentiation. And then I've heard, I just looked it up because I knew there was another one that people say, or that there was another one in the mix, unrestricted carry. And then Vermont carry is what I remember people would once in a while call it Vermont carry back in the olden days.
I've heard the Vermont carry. I've heard the unrestricted carry once, but I cannot remember in what context or anything else.
Yeah, I've never heard that either, but it does kind of make sense.
So I don't know, like, I think, Gizzard, you said that you didn't know where it came from. I don't know where it came from either. I think sometimes things happen unintentionally, and sometimes people are like, I'm going to make it a thing to say. Like, I'm going to, like, I'm sick of the other one, and I'm going to make it my goal or my, my thing to change the, so like for some reason somebody made it change, maybe, like, I don't know if it was an intentional, I guess, or like some like that, or if it was like inevitable, like because of maybe some state called it one way or the other. I know I've definitely now heard people defend it both ways. So instead of asking which one you like better, let me ask both of you guys while I'm trying to type and talk at the same time. What do you think it was intentional, or do you think it was just like an inevitable, not coincidence? Well, I don't know what the word is, but like a happenstance. Was it something that was just going to happen and it happened to happen, or is it something that was a deliberate? Somebody was like, you know what, I'm not happy with the way it is, or whatever the reason is, and I'm going to deliberately throw this thing out there for people to worry about. Either one. Anybody?
I'd have to think it's deliberate. I'm just not real sure why, and I'll have to admit I need to do my homework.
Yeah, you don't have to. I mean, I'm just throwing it out there. So yeah, you don't have to have known, but I can hear you. Like, and that's what I kind of feel like too. Like, I feel like I don't think it needed to be this way. I feel like this is one of those things that somebody just did to do, or they're thinking they're pulling something, or they're proving something, or whatever.
Well, it's just another thing to divide the 2A community, and we need less of that.
Oh, well, here's a question, just to be contrary. Are we better off when we have challenges so that we get better at overcoming them, or are we better off when everything's kind of smooth and we can make more ground or whatever? Like, we can get further along because we are working together.
I think we always need to be thinking along these lines. Do we have all of our I's dots? Do we have all of our T's crossed? Are there differences in this law and that law? Which is better? We've got to constantly be thinking about that, because I know the other side is. They're trying to, whittle away at our rights bit by bit, and we definitely need to do what we can do to strengthen our side too.
Oh, something made me think as you said that. Would this be a good poll? Bill Whittle, the guy who's Four Boxes Diner, whatever that guy's name is,
Mark
and
Smith.
then remember Bob Stossel?
Mhm.
Then that poll, who would win in that poll?
Nice. To answer the question, I don't see a plus or minus to it. At the end of the day, iron sharpens iron. So when we have a challenge, we're getting better. But at the same time, when we defeat those challenges, the other side gets better because they come back with a new way to try and attack us.
Kinda. That's I hear what you're saying, and that would be the normal back and forth. But I feel like they're not coming back anymore, and I don't know if that's because they're regrouping and getting better, or if it's just we're winning, and they're falling apart. And there's just no, with the 14th richest guy on the planet ain't there with his interest. You know what I mean? They don't have that much interest.
Yeah, and I think part of that now or right now is a NYSERPA decision because they kept pushing the envelope, and it finally snapped back at them, and they kind of punched themselves in the face. And you're never ready to punch yourself in the face. You don't like get hit in the face by somebody else, let alone accidentally doing it to yourself. And I think at this point they were not ready for that decision to come out the way it did. And now, to use that term, slippery slope, they're kind of on a slippery slope because they're watching all of these things that they have gotten passed for years. I mean, think about how many different laws have been determined unconstitutional in the last 8-9 months since the NYSERPA decision dropped. And granted, those are only in circuit courts, but still, there's a lot of things that have been ruled as unconstitutional, and that's a lot of things for the anti-gunners to have to try and regroup and fight back against, which is awesome because we've got them on the ropes, and they have to sit there and strategize and go, okay, we need to attack this one first and fight back against it. And how the other thing is history and text, all that dating back to 1791, and I think that's the thing that's hurting them most is they cannot find those historic analogs.
And if everything looks like, if you're a hammer, everything looks like a nail. If you're a bunch of lawyers that like taking things to the Supreme Court, then everything revolves around Supreme Court cases. And if you are a national level organization that exists to take things to the Supreme Court, and that's the biggest feathers in your cap, and the National Rifle Association, which was lobbyists, which is a different methodology of defending the Second Amendment and creating awareness, right? And if their whole thing was massive membership base and awareness and lobbying and sending high-end lobbyists to defeat bills before they even came up, so you don't have that feather and you do have this lawsuit feather, then I think there's that tendency to, like, for now, that in the shadow or the void or the zone, the wake of the NRA shooting themselves in the foot, so to speak, then we're seeing like everything's court cases, but there's more to it, I think. So I guess, I don't know.
Well, it'd be nice to not have to have everything be a court case to repeal infringements that are being made upon our rights. However, people in power, when they infringe upon people's rights, they don't give those back freely. And unfortunately, that means we have to go fight those battles in court.
Well, that's an option. I'm not saying it ain't an option, but another thing to do is empower, to put in and then empower. We just talked about Rebecca Schmoy. Rebecca Schmoy is a senator for the state of Kansas, correct? So, or is she a representative from the state of Kansas? She's a representative from House representative from the state of Kansas. So when she eventually gets put onto some kind of board to determine the ATF standing, right? Because that's going to be something that's an ambition of hers. She's going to want to be on something that is an advisory board or whatever, the board that oversees the ATF. She gets in there and starts to say, you're overstepping your authority, remove rules. So, you know what I'm saying? Like, that doesn't take the Supreme Court. That takes understanding, awareness, support, and holding feet to the fire, whatever that's called, direction, being good constituents, in other words. And that's awareness. That's the, like, what's that thing called? Schoolhouse Rock type of thing. So Schoolhouse Rock is education, and most of the national level organizations have pretty big infrastructures for their education side, because if they're lobbyists, and if they're other things, they have to do education separately because of the rules of nonprofits and all that. And because the NRA was already dominating with lobbying, and we got to having as many states with constitutional carry that we eventually got to 50 states with not constitutional, with concealed carry. We started with no states with concealed carry, with Vermont that didn't restrict it, but nobody was really concealed carrying, right? But then Alaska, Arizona, the rest of the states. Now we have 50 states with concealed carry, and that was all done with NRA and stuff. Nobody's, that wasn't, and that was done with lobbying and stuff, right? That was done with the political influence of the NRA, and nobody's given them any credit. Everybody just takes that all for granted. And now that the NRA is gone, we realize that that isn't an option. None of the other organizations decided to hire those people. I mean, it's written in that one book how those people just went and worked for other places, right? They just went and did other things because they still had that skill set. They just quit using it. And then some of the other things, we just let the NRA stop doing that. None of the other national level organizations picked up that ball. So we just act like that's off the table. Well, I guess it's technically off the table because we don't have an entity that used to do it again, but it doesn't mean we can never do that again, right? It doesn't mean that an organization that exists couldn't pick up that ball and try to do it, or a new organization. Remember how Trump's kid came along? That's what his thing was going to be, right? Like, I'm going to take over the lobbying that the NRA isn't doing. And, I knew a couple of people that were super on board with that. And I was like, well, I'll give him the benefit of the doubt if he can truly come in and be the lobbying part, be the political influence, so that we don't have to depend on Supreme Court cases. We don't have to depend on constituent awareness and activity, right? Then great. But he never did. But it would be cool if somebody steps in and does that. I mean, think of like a Joe Rogan or somebody that's, I don't know, Super Bowl person. I don't know who the celebrity would be. Tom Selleck, right? Somebody like that could come in and be like that person. I mean, I'm not holding my breath for that. I'm just trying to put an option out there that's not Supreme Court that, we have potential for. Anyway, I'm just rambling there for a long time. Nebraska permitless carry, LB 77. Anybody paying attention to everything that's happening in Nebraska as far as like over the years, their plight for this, and then their situation now where they've got, well, I'll stop describing it. Has anybody been just paying attention to it this year, this session, or this go around?
Not this year. I haven't really. I think from what I'm hearing from people, they think they've got a better chance this year, and they've come so close before. I'm sure hoping they can get it passed.
Yeah, it'd be pretty cool. I haven't paid attention to it very recently. I know that it was brought up. They feel basically everything that Gizzard has said, but I haven't heard that there's been much more movement on it at the moment. At the same time that they were pushing to, hey, we're going to be going for constitutional carry again. Nebraska was also talking about restricting the rights of 18 to 20 year olds as well. So, which I remember actually floating to DJ on my show. What if the vehicle to constitutional carry for Nebraskans, heaven forbid, but what if the vehicle to get constitutional carry is restricting the rights of 18 to 20 year olds, and then you guys work to repeal that later?
Which is what happened in my state.
Yep.
Because originally when they passed constitutional carry, it was for 21 and above. And then last year, the year before, they made it to where 18 to 21 you can, but you have to get the permit to do it. But before that, 18-year-olds couldn't even apply for a license, and now they can at least apply for the license. But the next step would be to make it applicable, across the board from 18 on up, which is really what needs to happen.
So I guess one of the issues is that it doesn't apply in Omaha.
Yeah, they
Yeah.
don't have.
Oh.
State override or whatever that's called.
Yeah, they don't have. Like we have here. The state and local governments can't do that here in Kansas, but
They don't have oh crap, we have it
what
here
they
in
call
PA.
it, exclusivity or something. Like
No,
I can't
oh my
remember. There's a
gosh.
term for it.
Yeah. I know exactly what you're talking about, Gizzard, and because we have it here in PA, which, you know, because everybody will say, "Oh, you can't open carry in Philadelphia." Legally, you can. However, Philadelphia doesn't care about state law, and oh my gosh, there's got to be somebody out in the text chat that's like, "Hey, it's this, you idiots."
Yeah, somebody help us out there. Come on.
Wait, what was the question?
What the actual term is for the ability for state and local governments to enact laws separately from state law.
Right. I'll think of it when I'm not trying to think of it either. They're saying, though, that someone who's from the Women's Fund of Omaha said national research supports a connection between an increase in domestic violence and a decrease in gun regulations. So I haven't heard of that kind of research before, but how offensive is that to suggest that when you remove laws that infringe, if you get rid of gun laws, then somehow there's more domestic violence? It's messed up.
I'm sure there's some truth to that because, prior to us having constitutional carry, we didn't have blood flowing in the streets like we do now.
That's true. Yeah.
That's what they told us was going to happen anyway.
I think what we were trying to...
She parked bad, you're probably going to shoot at her.
And I think what we were trying to think of was preemption, Gizzard.
Preemption, that's it.
Yes.
Good job.
But yeah, Pennsylvania has preemption, but like I said, Philadelphia doesn't care. Like if I went and open carried in Philly, guarantee they are gonna, slap some metal wrist bracelets on me and haul me away. Which, I mean, I would just get a lawyer. And the problem is, do you have the money to run it up to the state Supreme Court? Because it gets up there and they're like, yeah, you can't do that.
Sounds like to me you've got a state government that's afraid to press the issue with the cities because the cities have too much power.
Well, the problem is majority of our Congress and senators are rural area. So we typically have the House and Senate here in the state, which actually we lost the House this year. As far as, red team, pro-gun, all that fun crap goes. But the governorship normally is blue because, heck, you figure...
And that's more or less what happened here, too.
Yeah. Yeah, the big cities have the voting power to win the governorship. And because we had a couple bills that actually... were vetoed before Wolf left office, which doesn't matter because Shapiro got in. I think Shapiro's probably worse than Wolf, but we had a couple bills that were vetoed by Wolf, and one of them was actually saying, hey, if you violate somebody's rights, regarding the Second Amendment and all that, like Philadelphia does so often, not only, could these people sue for damages, but they could sue for their legal fees, the whole 9 yards, and the city would be on the hook for it. That passed our House and the Senate, and then, like I said, it got vetoed.
This article, as you were saying that, I was reading the end of the article that essentially ends. There's this picture up here of this guy, and at first I was thinking he was just holding a stick or a cane or something. So that starts off with the title of the article, This is from January, so it's like a month old. But this is the title of the article, and then there's one picture, and it's three old people talking to each other, and the one guy's holding a stick. Turns out it's a flintlock gun, right? And then I guess if you read it, it says it's his great great grandfather's musket. Okay. So then you scroll all the way down to the end of this article, at least where the words stop, and it goes, that guy, no, goes, that guy brought a rifle from 1869 to the Capitol Thursday, although it was not allowed inside the hearing room, said his firearm is the type of weapon that the Constitution's drafters were referencing in the right to bear arms. He said the rifle fires one shot at a time and takes up to a minute to reload. Firearms have advanced much further since then, and Lee said, now too many people are carrying too many guns. He's worried that virtually anyone could carry a firearm without restrictions, and it adds to a problem that already exists. So I'm just reading that not to get insightful or get people pissed off, but just to realize that there's like 8 different ways to competently address this like 1980s concern. Like this is a concern that no one has had for a long, long time. So if that's really in Nebraska what people are concerned about and what this Omaha World Herald has to kind of cement their article, that's the coffin, the nails in the coffin, then the thing's already done. You know what I mean? Like the DC project addresses that easily. Eddie Eagle can address most of that stuff easily. That's the whole like internet. Well, you guys know the other arguments.
Mhm.
This is ridiculous. This is softball. Yep. So anyway, I just throwing that out there. People can look at this and go, oh, there's an article. It's all about how, oh, blah, blah, they don't agree with us. Okay, they don't agree with us, but they're also not even playing our game. Like they're just bringing old fashioned arguments to the table. We can address this. All right, and then I'm going to bitch about this picture. This horrible ass picture. Nebraska Examiner. How about fuck you, Nebraska Examiner? Paul Hamill is an asshole. February 10th. Look at this picture. It's a dude with essentially a Glock. I mean, it's possible that it's airsoft, but I mean, what do you guys think? It doesn't look photoshopped. It looks like they just took a Glock, finger on the trigger. I don't know if he's supposed to be jamming it into a pocket, pulling it out of his pants, just whatever. I just don't like pictures that just for no reason show dumbass. It's not like a stunt. It's just a dumb thing. It's like it's just either a dumb photographer or somebody's trying to get under people's skin, but they either know gun safety and they're like, this will screw with people who know about gun safety, or they know literally nothing about gun safety at all. It's like saying AR-14, right? Like,
Yep.
Come on, really? Like, I don't believe you don't know this. You're saying that to piss us off. So what do you guys think? Am I crazy? Am I overreacting? It's just some random picture and they just randomly picked a horrible picture? Or is this specifically designed to look like gun owners are these really weird, unsafe? Because somebody who knows about guns is going to look at this and go, oh, probably are people that put their finger on the trigger behind their back like this.
Well,
I don't know what they're trying to do.
This, like they say, a picture speaks 1,000 words. First off, not an airsoft gun. If it was an airsoft gun, it should have an orange tip. And if they painted that orange tip black, they committed a federal offense, because all the toy guns are required to have orange tips now. So that could be a talking point if that really is an airsoft gun. But you got somebody standing here wearing black. They're holding a gun behind their back. So just the person in a long sleeve black shirt could possibly assume it's a hoodie. That would lend itself to believing that it's somebody nefarious looking to do some harm. Then when you consider the fact that they have the gun behind their back like that, it's not holstered. They're not necessarily trying to conceal it or anything either, other than the fact that it's behind their back. That again paints that picture of something bad. Fingers on the trigger.
Offense or defense, right? It's either somebody about to lurch, about to pounce on somebody, or it's somebody who's drawing that in defense, right? Like in reaction to being suspicious or something. But it's definitely not somebody target shooting or casually instructing someone how to shoot a gun or
But
something.
but if you think about it for a second, anybody that would be pro gun would be like, well, all right, where did he just unholster that from? He didn't just unholster that from his back pocket. One, who the heck, carries a pocket holster in their back pocket? Two, you can clearly see there's no holster in that back pocket. I mean, technically, could he have just had it in the back pocket? Sure, I'm sure there's people that do something stupid like that, but your average everyday carrier is not gonna be looking at this as like, oh, he just unholstered that. They'll be like, what the hell's going on here? And so then that leaves the other side where they are, again, I think, looking at this as a nefarious person that's going to be going on the offensive and not trying to defend themselves. Then when you add in the fact that that finger is on the trigger, which this could just simply be a deal where they had somebody be a model and they said, hey, put this gun in your hand, and people that don't know any better, the first place their finger goes is the trigger. And that could have happened here, or this could have been done 100% intentionally, where they said you need to have your finger on the trigger, hold it like this. To me, everything about this photo screams that they were going for a certain look, a certain feel from this photo, and it was not to paint firearms in a good light.
Yeah, I totally agree. That was designed to look that way for a reason.
I agree. So we're right, they're wrong. That's how it works, internet. We got the poll going. Which is best to say? Constitutional carry, permit-less carry, unrestricted carry, or Vermont carry? And Vermont carry is losing with 0%, not even one vote. Nobody is calling it Vermont carry. Constitutional carry is wailing on it with 67% of the votes. Permitless and unrestricted are each sitting there at 17%. Interesting. So if you're out there on one of the other channels, I do simulcast this for some reason. I don't know why I'd even do that. I guess so that all the super chats come in on the gear or the Daily Gun Show side. Anyway, I think, isn't it Nebraska? I forget because this happens in more than one state and it happens often. But isn't it Nebraska where even the gun side of it, the pro-gun or pro-right side of it, is saying, "Oh, this one isn't perfect enough because of the Omaha thing. Like, oh, this isn't good enough constitutional carry, so I'm not going to vote for it, even though I would normally vote for constitutional carry." Is that? Well, I guess you guys don't know, but I think that might be.
I think I've heard that before.
Okay, I just don't know if I'm mixing it up with like a previous cycle.
No, I think that's right.
Okay. This is from our friends over at BMC Tactical over in New Mexico. It's a gun shop, actually 2 gun shops now. And they got a puppy named Luna, and that she's been battling, I don't know how to say that, but a doggy disease, I guess, for 4 years. One of the things had an issue and it wouldn't stop bleeding. So they had these this kit that was able to get the bleeding under control. And it's a first aid supply for critters, right? Pets. So
Nice.
they're assembled in Albuquerque, and they have them at both their locations. And yeah, I just thought that was super cool. There's a couple of kits I've seen at like SHOT Show and stuff, but they're usually for like, canine operating dogs, canine police dogs, dogs that are search and rescue, dogs that are on the clock, essentially. So this is kind of cool. It's one of these like foil bags. So kind of like some of the first aid kits or blowout kits or, stop the bleed type of kits would come in a heavy foil bag. And then it's resealable with a Ziploc.
That's great.
Cool. Yeah.
So, I've been doing some hunting here, and I was able to find Mark Smith's reason why he believes permitless carry is a better term than constitutional carry, if you want me to share. I'm not gonna like play the video or anything. I can just
Yeah,
tell
let
you.
us know why he's wrong, because he's usually right about stuff, it seems like.
So he believes that by saying constitutional carry, that means that the right to keep and bear arms derives from the Constitution, and it when it is inherently bestowed on us at birth. The Constitution does nothing but codify the right to keep and bear arms. So he believes that permitless carry is a better term because it's just saying you don't a permit is not required, and it's not saying that something is you know, bestowing that right upon you.
I gotcha. I believe the term is perchify, but if you want to say codify, that's fine. Here's the deal why he's wrong on this one. I can see why he thinks he's right on that one and why
Yep.
some people would think that's right, but here's why that's wrong. Constitutional carry is because the Constitution tells the government to leave us the fuck alone
Exactly.
with these inalienable rights. And constitutional carry is like saying, hey, there's a constitution that says leave me alone. Here's my permit. It's called the Constitution, leave me alone. So I don't believe that the Constitution gives me the right. The Constitution is the thing that says, hey, leave me alone.
Yes.
So I get it, but I'm not hanging my hat on the Constitution gives me nothing. The Constitution is why I'm telling you to leave me alone. It's sort of like my permit slip, my permission slip that says you leave me alone. Your jurisdiction ended right around where you read this.
Right. The Constitution is your defense of the right and where you will legally stand or should, when it goes to the courts and everything else, you are sworn to defend our Constitution. So.
And I get it. Here's the other thing, though. I don't like permitless carry because that implies, my whole thing is that implies there is the permit and we're running around without the permit. Like, there's the permit that the police have and they're justified because they got their permit and we're running around rogue without our permits. And I think they use that in such a way, the way they just say it, the connotation or the whatever that's called, like, the way they say it just makes it's just like saying lawmaker. I don't like saying it. It's just a dumb way of saying it. It's not even accurate. Like they should be the representatives. They're not even lawmakers. You know what I mean? That's one of the jobs they have, but they're representatives.
Another issue I have with the term permitless is because it implies that, right now you can go and carry without a permit, but at any time we can just say, hey, that permitless part is gone. It's carry by permit again. At any time, they can just switch it up.
Is Gunwater saying 4 boxes is wrong or we're wrong?
I have no idea.
I think he means 4 boxes. All right, I'm not sure. I don't want to speak for him. Okay, so this is on the screen Gun Owners Radio, which is San Diego Gun Owners, is hosting a tabletop at Brass and Bass. We appreciate your support and hope you can volunteer this Saturday. So you've been to like a gun show where there's like the state level or maybe some kind of local organization, maybe a range or some kind of, I don't know if you have public shooting area cleanup crews, but that'll happen in Arizona where we've got a lot of public land and people shoot on it. And we want to keep the, other people that use our multi-use public lands from hating gun owners. And a lot of times people just come out and trash a gun area because it looks like a place that they can throw their trash and nobody's going to get mad. So anyways, we'll go out and clean up stuff just to keep, harmony in the world or whatever. And because we want to keep our own areas clean and whatnot. So those groups will kind of have fluctuations in how popular they are, how many people are active in it. And they'll sometimes set up at gun shows. Anyhow, this is that kind of concept. They're setting up at a gun shop, though, or in this case, like an outdoor outfitters type of shop, I think it sounds like. Brass and Bass sounds like a fishing shop also. So, okay, right on. So we're on the same track. Like I say, I don't like that guy. I shouldn't say it that way. I'm not like a worshiper of that guy. Everything he says is gospel or nothing. Like that 4 boxes guy. I think that he's definitely like a hammer, and he's looking at nails. He's a what's that called? Supreme Court, whatever he is. So everything he's doing is about the Supreme Court. Let's talk about Wayne LaPierre with that guy. Let's talk about strategies for getting a 5 million member organization back on track through the board and through, active. What do they call soapbox? What do you call? I'm getting off on a massive tangent here, but this guy isn't thinking about lobbying. He isn't thinking about awareness and activism, and he isn't thinking about rallies. He's thinking about Supreme Court stuff, which is awesome. But I don't want to say he's a one-trick pony, but he's a specialist. That's a nice way of saying it. He's capable with everything, but he's a specialist in Supreme Court stuff. He's literally a lawyer and stuff. Anyhow, I don't know if I want to get off on that tangent. We're an hour in. It's middle of the night, so I don't want to keep you guys up all night or whatever. Anyway, I just think this is cool. Hanging out at an outfitter thing, setting up a table and just chatting about rights, chatting about the organization. I just think that's a great way to get people boots on the ground, get people meeting each other, normalizing guns, right? Gun ownership in the community, and then the idea of camaraderie or community, It's cool. I like it. Do you think that, let's say, Gizzard and Barbecue, you were around for Barbecue, were you around for gun channels, or is it gone by the time you came around?
I was around for like the last 6 months.
And it was getting weird at the end.
And
so.
Even then, I was just lurking.
Okay, and it was getting weird at the end, so it wasn't like when it spun out at the end that it was anything kind of norm. And Gun Channels was different the whole 7 years, but
yeah, because
Gizzard was around for a number of years of it for sure, and he knows more stories than a bunch of people because he's been around. And I don't know how many people listening right now were around for as long as they were with Gun Channels. But one of the things that Gun Channels accomplished as a community, as a group of people that were actually doing things together instead of just watching together, like there's a bunch of viewers groups, like we're going to sit around and watch something at the same time together. Maybe it's TV, maybe it's each other, but there's a bunch of people that just, and that's cool, but that's all they do. So they're like watching sports, except instead of sports, they're watching something else, right? But then this was a participatory situation. There's a bunch of content creators, so we participate in each other's channels and sharing and growth and that kind of thing, but then also at these events. So Wanamaker, thanks to Clover and everybody that showed up at Wanamaker, including Gizzard, who shows up probably more regularly than anybody, except maybe Snob, who cheats by living there.
Unfair.
There's the events end of it, and then go into different things like SHOT and NRA and I don't know, every other place, Thunder on the Prairie, different places, TriggerCon, where people meet up and, loosely all associated with gun channels. So there was this like gun channels thing. And then Marco a long time ago came up with the whole thing with Marco and Pink. And when we were having patches made due to their they made it possible for these patches to get made. We had a bunch of people had patches and everybody would do the circled patches thing. So we had all these like mini events where people would meet up and do one of the gun channels pictures. So, it was like a tradition of this, and it would bring people together. They'd often eat dinner or something, collaborate. Some of those things were just epic, sitting around all night. And instead of like, there was a lot of shooting the shit or whatever, but the stuff I remember is people fiddling with cameras. And it's like, we're shooting the shit right now, but if we were sitting together and we all had our cameras out and we were demonstrating shit and fiddling with shit and explaining shit, there's a lot of learning that goes on, right? And that's the part where it wasn't structured, but that kind of stuff happened. And then there's the like, it's not structured, but when a whole bunch of people go to an event like SHOT Show, Media Day, or go to an NRA and have to deal with hotels and getting together and eating and figuring out what it's like working on the road and doing stuff together, there's that camaraderie and that awareness, and you all at the same time, you're seeing everybody else in the community doing their thing, and you're all coming back, and you've got this group of people that you can come back and have these after action reports to, both on and off air. A massive amount of community there. Anyway, I'm going off on a tangent again. So if all that would have kept going and that was in 2020, I think, that it ended, right? So if it would have kept going and now in 2023, do you think we get to the point where there's gun channels pop up sitting at different places in the world just doing Second Amendment awareness and just doing like, hey, we're here in XYZ town and here's what's available in this state and here's what's available in as far as shooting ranges and gun shops, and we're just here to spread the word and let you know you're not alone as a gun owner, and there's lots of ways you can participate in the community. A long ass way of asking that question, but do you think that would have been something we could have done as a national level, maybe more than gun shows?
That's a good question.
Asking that question took like half an hour to ask that question.
Can you ask it again?
Can you ask that? Except can you elaborate?
Could you use that in a sentence, please?
All right. So one of my favorite chicks ever is Annie Oakley. So Stephen Holbrook, a author, researcher, and activist. Valentine's advice: I ain't afraid to love a man. I ain't afraid to shoot him either. Annie Oakley from back in the day. I just thought that was cool. And I like to talk about Annie Oakley.
Yeah, she was pretty cool.
Yep.
Then we got gun policy. This is a meme, Republican somebody or another in Pennsylvania is working hand in hand with the disarmament regime. Let's talk about that. Is that a good thing? We'll talk about that in a second. To create federal gun registry, H.R. 715. Demand your representative rejects H.R. 715. And then they say at fpcaction.org. So for me, it torques my gizzards. Torques my gourds when they just say, hey, demand that your representative at our website. Because I like the whole DJ approach of like, demand your representative do stuff at this phone number. And then if you want, head over to our website. I'd be way cooler with that. You know what I mean? Like, call to action, do it, and then go hang out at our website if you want. I don't like this, like, everything needs to be done through our website or whatever. But going off on too many tangents there, the meme says this dude is hanging out with partisan voters, but then he's hanging out with the disarmament regime. So first off, how do you respond to this barbecue? Obviously, this is something that you're involved in. First off, how do you defend this? What do you have to say for yourself? What's going on in Pennsylvania?
Honestly, it's one of those things that bugs the crap out of me, because you got the guy that's playing both sides of the aisle, who sits there, says, hey, I'm pro this, pro that, but then turns around and makes those backdoor deals. I mean, really, it's Pat Toomey 2.0.
Is true that he's a former FBI agent?
That I have no idea.
Okay.
What was the name again?
Republican, or I guess Representative Brian Fitzpatrick.
I'm trying to remember. I can't say 100% if he was a FBI agent or not. I think he's another one of those jerkwads that's out of Montgomery County, which is right by Philadelphia and everything, and so.
It says PA
and that's where
01. Is that the first district? Or?
What's that?
It says PA-01. Is that?
I don't have a clue what the PA-01 is. But like I said, I'm pretty sure he is out of Montgomery County, which is where all the politicians come out of that get to do anything in the state, meaning governor or attorney general, all that fun jazz. So, and like, well, I mean, heck, look at Shapiro, our, governor. Yeah, he was the attorney general. He was part of that whole group that said, "Hey, yeah, we'll build this 80% lower for you and all that fun jazz." And nothing came of that. But Republicans really wanted Shapiro as governor. The guy knows how to play both sides of the aisle. And there were a lot of people that were working against Mastriano to make sure that Shapiro won. And again, if it comes out of Montgomery County, it's got a whole lot of stink to it, and they know how to play the game, and they've got the money and the whole 9 yards. It sucks.
His website says he's a former FBI special agent and a federal prosecutor.
Fun guy. Really knows the government and how to use it as a mechanism. Put it that way nicely.
Yep.
So this one is from Lighthouse for the Blind, channel I follow. I always hesitate to click on their stuff because of the gun websites thing, and I'm not sure how they feel about that. But I also know that I'm way bigger than them, I believe. So I feel like there's a certain amount of mansplaining I can be doing by clicking. They have 1,000 followers, and I've got 50,000 followers. It's got to help them. But then I'm shadow banned. So you know what I mean? Like I don't go around clicking on everything just because I don't want to bug them. But at the same time, I'm not afraid to click on their stuff once in a while. So I don't know if you guys have to ever deal with that kind of debate when you're on your gun channels and then clicking on stuff or not. But it's one of those internet world issues that we either bring on ourselves or either have to deal with or don't. Anyhow, this one says, are you curious about the latest accessible reading apps? Join our out of sight solutions for leveling up your literacy webinar on February 22nd, which happens to be today, to compare the Bookshare reader with mainstream apps like Kindle and Apple Books. So sometime today there's a level up your literacy webinar. And then it says image description, a golden retriever laying on its back, wearing headphones and listening to an audiobook. And a couple of things. One, I don't know if Barbecue has any interest in that, but there you go. Otherwise, if you're listening to this and you're a content creator, it's super hot. Using your alt text, super hot. And on most of the platforms, it's looking like, in my research, most of the platforms are using that as a thing. So consider using your alt text with decent keyword stuff and see if that gives you a little bit of oomph. So if you know what I'm talking about, you know what I'm talking about. And if you don't, ignore it. But consider using that alt text. And thanks to Patriot and Barbecue to some extent, but I know Patriot was always an advocate of people using that alt text. Turns out if you'd have been listening to Patriot this whole time and actually using it, you've probably been, doing a little bit better, a little bit smoother on the platforms.
Yeah, I was gonna say what's alt text? Just like alternative text, you mean, or?
Oh, so here, let me show you. I'm gonna go back into Instagram and act like, so I'm already in Instagram on that other browser tab, but the way Instagram works is I can open up another instance of it and just fiddle around. So I'm going to open up a separate instance and I'm going to go to my computer and I'm going to post this artist concept of the puppy wearing a hat from the campaign, right? And I'm going to wiggle it around or whatever. And now I'm going to say next, and then I can fiddle with its whatever saturation, right? And its other things. And then I can get to here and I can write a description. Hey, blah, 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 right? Maybe a link to the thing. I don't have a link to it anywhere. But then if I scroll down, accessibility, alt text describes your photos for people with visual impairments. Alt text will be automatically created for your photos, or you can choose to write your own. So if you go, hey, blah, 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 I think I'm so funny, or I'm writing this because, I'm giving Snob what for or whatever, right? But down here, you go, this is a picture of a little puppy wearing a hat that's part of a campaign that's going to be used to make a new robot do our biddings, keep the robots from thinking they're so good. Now you've created some alt text down here that's useful. Now it may or may not be useful for like people who are having issues and really want to use that as a description of the picture. But if you put in like a real heavy keyword alt text in there, you're helping yourself on the essentially the logarithms on the platform. So using that as an indicator of value or worth. So it is going to be written automatically, it says. And I don't know if that's true or not. Patriot, or I don't know if Barbecue uses readers on Instagram or not, but essentially it's just right there. When you're writing your description, you can add your location if you want. I never do.
Yep.
You can add an accessibility. It used to be a real pain in the ass. You used to have to click on little dots and shit in the picture and then open up a thing. So I would always use that as my excuse why I didn't do it. It's literally just scrolling down a little bit more and typing again. So I just don't do it because I don't like typing at all.
I wonder if, because I've never even noticed that. And I didn't know it existed or anything. That's friggin' awesome. But
most people don't even pay attention. You just think it's some, advanced setting type of thing or whatever.
Well, I was
I've
gonna
had
say,
Patriot bring that up to me before. He said it'd be great if I had alt text for you to describe what's in your picture, and it's like, oh, what a great idea, because that way he and other people could enjoy it and understand it.
Yeah.
Especially when the picture is like a meme or whatever. It's like, and the text goes right or some dumbass shit like the guy in the blue pants says it right or dumb shit like that.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm wondering if one of the reasons I've never seen that option is because when I do post to Instagram, which is very rare anymore, I do it mobilely.
Well, no, it is a little easier, but it is not easy to find. It is more of a pain in the ass than on the mobile. It is easier than it was, though. It used to be like a real pain in the ass. Like you had to click on it, some dots or something in the middle of your clicking. And now I think it's just another portion. You just have to remember to scroll down or do something. Anyhow, I'm going to close out of that so I don't accidentally post that, waste everybody's time. Okay, and then we'll go to the next one. Gun Owners Radio at Glock Store. I've been there. It's in San Diego area, and learned after the fact that it's the guy who made all those VHS tapes back in the day. This is just kind of a plug that they're doing CCW classes. Here's what my question is, and I have Gizzard, you can answer also, but really I got Barbecue in here, and I'm interested in Barbecue's opinion on this. It's the San Diego Gun Owners logo, and it's the girls, and the logo is in teal. Is that color appropriation, or is that some kind of collaborative thing? Is this appropriate, or is this disrespectful? And I guess Gizzard, you can also offer an opinion, even though I don't think you've ever had a series of videos interviewing female Second Amendment advocates.
Honestly, as far as my view, and this could just be some dude mansplaining, which probably is what it's going to be. But if teal could be the color for two-way, if DC Projekt did nothing else, which, I mean, obviously they're doing amazing things, but let's say they did nothing else, but they gave us a color to unify under, and it ended up being teal. Would that be detrimental? I don't think so. You've got the anti-gun crowd that's trying to take over
You
orange
just stole
now.
their color. You just stole their color and gave it to a
100%.
bunch of people.
Yep. But you got the anti-gun crowd that's trying to take over orange. which I think is ludicrous, but it is what it is.
They took it from Hunter's Orange. They took
Exactly.
that intentionally, but Hunter's Orange has a story. They took that for a reason.
Yep. And that's why I'm kind of like, you know what? If teal can be the color for two-way that it unites under, so when we go to rallies or anything like that.
Are you saying now it's the color for all two-way, or it's the color for all women two-way?
No, like all two-way. Like realize where
now the
it
DC
came
Project
from.
doesn't even get their color anymore, like their shirt or nothing.
Oh no, 100% they do. Because like I said, I think it would actually help them because when it starts to get around, oh hey, you going to that rally this weekend? Heck yeah, I'm going to the rally. What are you wearing, dude? Oh, I got this teal shirt I'm going to wear. Why? Oh, well, there's this DC Project group, and they started wearing teal, and they got all these cool little monikers like Teal Team 6 and all this fun jazz. It's actually really cool, and a lot of people are doing it, and so that helps garner more people to them, checking them out. But then, imagine what it would look like for a representative to look out their window on a lobby day or something, who knows what, and they just see the sea of teal. And the other nice thing I think about the teal is it's not a threatening color.
All right. You're allowed to have that position. Gizzard,
Yep.
What do you think? Where you stand on this whole teal being used by San Diego gun owners, female crew in their logos on their t-shirts in San Diego. And we don't know if they're in the DC Project or not.
I don't think it's a problem. I mean, there's only so many colors out there.
Oh my God. I had no idea. I'm hanging around hippies. Hippies, anything goes. Anything goes. No traditions.
Woo, free colors.
Well, that's a question for everybody else out there. Here, you can either not care and simply not mansplain to these ladies, let them live their own lives, doing what they want with their colors, or you can have your right to mansplain to them in the comments of this video and wherever else you feel like it. It's your right. It's your internet. You can mansplain to these ladies what you feel about this.
Another thing that I like about it, it doesn't. You don't just have to wear a T-shirt. Let's say you're one of those people that's like, well, I've got a meeting with a congressman or a senator after this rally, or in the middle of this rally, and I want to make sure that I'm wearing a 3-piece suit or some crap like that. Well, cool. Now, you don't have to wear a teal shirt, but you could wear a teal tie. There's so many options.
A teal tuxedo for 2A.
There you go. Oh, like on Dumb and Dumber. You can have a cane and everything. Cool top hat.
Let's go. So, Governor of Montana says state will not comply with the ATF's pistol brace rule. So, this was from Colion Noir talking about the situation in Montana. So, without getting too much into it this deep into the show this late at night, and we actually have quite a few people listening, so feel free to participate. We're here chatting, but you're part of this thing. This is not a television show or a radio show. You are a part of this show if you're listening. Even those people listening in the future, guess what? You're part of this. You can leave comments, and then if we're still alive, then guess what? We're probably going to answer. I get comments like 12 years on videos that are 12 years old. So anyhow, what do you guys think? Are you paying attention to this Montana thing? And if so, you got an opinion on it? This is not new. This has kind of been around for at least a couple of weeks.
What's the Montana thing?
That the Montana governor is basically saying, we're not going to do anything. We got one of those amnesty type of situations where the state has said the state resources won't be used to help the ATF.
I don't want to be a negative Nancy or anything, but I'll believe it when these states actually do it. And the other problem is, fine, state funds don't do it, but do they go into the right county and the county sheriff's like, yep, I'm helping you. Oh, great. That did a whole lot, didn't it?
I think sheriffs usually go, no, we're not doing nothing unless you're paying us, or they don't even get made to. Sheriffs just don't do stuff usually.
Well,
some sheriffs do stuff, but a lot of times sheriffs are the ones that end up being the ones that say, no, we ain't doing that. And what are you going to do about it?
Yeah, which seems to be what we hear about more often than not. But likewise, if you find the right sheriff in the right place, it can be the whole opposite, unfortunately. Because,
Oh, no, it's almost always the opposite. It's just those few where they say no.
Yeah.
Because actually, most of them go, yeah, whatever. Sure. Jackboot right on this part of my neck. All right, so this is M13, gunsmith up in Vegas. I'm a big fan of. One of the gunsmiths I'm a big fan of, but they do a lot of the full auto stuff for those rental places up there. So they're just, becoming very, very good, and takes a lot of pride in making good looking guns, and then they share them. So it's a trifecta. I pay attention to this channel, and they just came out with, out of nowhere, a PKM patch. It's not 1,000% exactly what I'd want in the PKM patch, but it's the only PKM patch I've got in the mail on the way to me for $5. So stay tuned for these on future Free Patch Friday things. Whenever they show up, they'll be going out. Well, I'm going to keep a couple. I don't know when Barbecue is going to have a chance to talk patches again, but I've changed my patch situation 1,000%. So I have a much more organized situation for pre-patch Friday and stuff like that. But
Yes.
Also for my own projects, like I've got my collection just to where like I don't have to worry about duplicates. I know where everything is, or at least where it's going to be, or anticipate where it would be. Those welcome mat things are so fun to be able to, like, I could, for somebody was saying, can you get all your snake patches? Like I could totally just get all my snake patches and then put them all back. You know what I mean? Like, let's get all the ones with a bird on it. Okay, no problem. Like, get all the ones with pink. I mean, they're already kind of sorted by color, but you know what I mean? Like, I could almost go through and grab all the ones and put them on another panel, take a picture, and put them all back where they came from, because it's sort of, I really like the way they're set up. Anyway, when these come in, I don't have to, before I'd probably keep two, because I'm like, I don't know, I don't know where I'm going to put these on which patch panels or whatever. Now I'm not putting them on patch panels. I'm leaving them the way they are, so I can just keep one, and the other two can go to Free Patch Friday. It's one, I think this is the cool looking patch. Two, it's the only PKM patch that's out there with an ammo can on it. And then three, it's a cool company. So I like to buy patches from places that are making cool patches. Let's see, we've got, are you paying attention to Instagram, the Heller Foundation on Instagram? Anyone? Gizzard took away or took off.
No, I don't.
Oh, if you're interested in paying attention to keeping your finger on the news, of Second Amendment news specifically, not just the news, but in fact filtered. So it's just Second Amendment news. There's nothing here that's like, at least I shouldn't say that. Every once in a while, there probably was some Trump stuff back in the day. I think they were pretty big Trump fans, but it wasn't like Trump, 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 Trump. It was just, whatever. Anyway, it's mostly Second Amendment news, almost exclusively Second Amendment stuff. But they do a great job of, I don't know what that's called, like, there's a word for it when you go out and grab all the maybe it's collect, but there's a better word for it, but like collect all the important articles of the week. Anyway, man, I can't think of the word, but anyway, there's a way they harvest all these like good articles and post them on their thing in kind of like a burst. So it's a great channel to follow. And like, it's just a great summary of the week in news. And I'm thinking like mostly articles in newspapers and from like CNN, but written stuff, or like whatever they'd like have accompanying the video or something, like the text that would be accompanying the video. So it's a real good summary of the week. most weeks. What is this one? 1 million moms. The Michigan State House, however, has a disgusting and unprofessional response to the spree murders, and they talk about the shooter was a felon, already shouldn't have had a gun, and so I'm reading the stuff over here. What it all turns out is this guy is a representative in the state of Michigan after a spree killer did another attempt for infamy and through murdering. And he goes, fuck your thoughts and prayers. So what do you guys think? Is this too controversial for the middle of the night to have a question like this? Aggregate. Thank you. That was the word I was looking for. Thank you, Roy. What do you think of this when these people go, fuck your thoughts and prayers?
I don't care much for that.
Like, period. But then the fact that it's a representative, like, that's taking it beyond the, like, you don't have to be reverent of everybody. Oh, wait, what's the word? You don't have to respect maybe that's the word too. Like, you don't have to believe or understand or whatever, but I think you do need a respect. That's liberty. Like, you don't have to agree or condone, right? All those words, like, people can do whatever they want. As long as they're not hurting anybody, I don't think you get to do that kind of stuff and not face. That's rude. It's right. It's beyond rude.
Yeah.
That's being rude to somebody's religion unnecessarily. I don't know. What do you think, Barbecue?
Definitely being rude to somebody's religion. I've heard people mention this, and they're like, "Oh, he is more or less, being disrespectful to somebody's religion, stuff like that." But with the way I took it was, he is saying, screw your thoughts and prayers, as in, not that he has a problem with thoughts and prayers, but he's sick of hearing, thoughts, prayers, all that fun jazz. When something like this happens, and he wants action. He wants things to happen other than just thoughts and prayers.
Well, yeah, I mean, I guess that's what he's suggesting, but that's also completely offensive to suggest that the other side, the people that he's complaining about, who are against his infringements, I guess, that I mean, who is he saying this? He's saying, fuck your thoughts and prayers to who? To, I'm assuming, the other side of the political fence. So is he suggesting that they condone it or something? You know what I mean? Like that, or I shouldn't say condone, that's the wrong word. But is he suggesting that all they're offering is thoughts and prayers? Like, he's suggesting that they're going thoughts and prayers. Well, then that's super offensive, because then he's disregarding everything that they do, which would be mental health awareness, suicide prevention, root cause mitigation. Right?
That's the problem, though. They disregard all those things in the first place. The only thing that they see is what they want, and that's
control or lack of control.
Yeah, just complete disarmament.
All right, well, we don't have to beat that dead horse. I just thought that was an interesting one. I put it up in my list here, but that reminds me, since you said disarmament, that was one of the ones I got over here. What do you think of this term disarmament regime? Or if somebody was about to say something, go ahead.
I was just going to say, speaking of dead horse, anybody hear from him lately?
Every once in a while, no. I was thinking Kingpin. I was going to say I seen Kingpin the other day, but no, I haven't heard from Dead Horse in a while. I've heard somebody say that Dead Horse was around. I think he might.
I think I saw him in somebody's chat.
Oh,
okay, good.
Last week. I can't remember who.
He may have just gotten out of the live kind of whatever habit or routine or whatever. So what do you think of disarmament regime as a way to describe the antis? I've been saying anti-freedom for such a long time because of Charles Heller. Anti-freedom bigots is what he always says. I don't like saying bigots all the time, so I say just anti-freedom.
I mean, it's not the worst collective term I've ever heard. I'll say that.
Regime seems like a weird word. I don't want to go around saying, but it does kind of gets them, right? Hopefully it pokes them a little bit.
And it
Yeah.
feels that way sometimes.
I like the term regime because, like you said, it kind of pokes that bear. Disarmament. Unfortunately, I feel like some folks today just aren't bright enough to figure out quite exactly what that would be, and it just doesn't roll off the tongue well.
So it's sort of like permitless. Like it doesn't. I don't like it either. I don't have as much a problem as I do with permitless, but I don't go around saying disarmament very often. This is just super creepy. Tony's using some kind of goofy filter to make himself look like that
Oh,
dumbass.
that's Tony. I was like, what in the world?
Tony's changed.
So here's another one from Heller Foundation. Department of Justice given the states $231 million for gun violence prevention programs. They shouldn't say this is bullshit propaganda right here, because it is the Department of Justice is following through on the budget that was created by the bipartisan, in other words, Republican gun control that was passed of the two Republican gun controls last year. One of them removed the rights of 18 to 21-year-olds throughout the entire country, and then stupid other shit. And then the second one, under the guise of safety from guns, funded on huge amounts of money, just on huge amounts of money over the next 4 years to 10 states. And the 10 states that do the dance are going to get funded by the federal government. And this is just the follow through of that. So this grinds my gonads as well. Because what the fuck? This is like pandering, and it's suggesting that the Department of Justice has anything here except to follow through on what they're told to do. Like they have some discretionary decision making process for $231 million. They're not giving anybody anything. They're following through on distributing what the government, with the federal, or what do you call it? What do you call that? The legislative branch told them to do. So anyway, it's just bad reporting, and then Heller can't do nothing about it. They're just showing you, but yeah, it really is annoying. I don't know if there's anything to say on that one. It's lame and it's frustrating, and they probably do that shit. It's like saying AR-14, right? Another one from Heller: gun violence in the United States, truth and facts, an uphill battle. So this one says it's a fascinating read from China Daily News. So China Daily News has a title, a headline: gun violence in the United States, truth and facts. So you ever think about doing something like that for your fancy book club, reading the China newspaper about 2A?
Be interesting.
Too much for you. Clash Bash, Texas. So I'm a big advocate of the evolution of get-together shooting events, the Second Amendment in real life. So one of them is Clash Bash, Texas. Kalashnikov, I guess Bash. Where does Bash come from? I mean, it's been around for a while, meaning like party or something, right?
I think so.
Where does Bash come from? Like, I don't know if I've ever thought about it. Origin of Bash. Any guesses? Oh, how and when did Bash come to mean party? A bash is a wild type of party, possibly impromptu, raucous, and loud. A bash is a drunken spree from 1901. So I guess it's from 1901.
Wow.
Birthday bash is where it comes from. All right, well, unfortunately, it's some old ass word that doesn't really have that much of a fun thing. Anyway, so Clash Bash and then Texas, because it happens in Texas. And what they're offering or adding to the mix this time around, I forget, it doesn't say how many years they've been doing this. It's been going on for a while, though. Is they're going to be shooting from a helicopter. Helicopter aerial gunnery. Excited to announce the new attraction hosted by Hella Gunner. And anybody is invited to participate. Direct questions. It doesn't say how much. Tickets available in the bio of it. So how much you think it's going to cost to shoot aerial platform?
I'm guessing it's a pretty penny.
Oh, Hella Gunner rides on one click away. Barbecue, what are you thinking? Anybody out there? You're part of this show. You're going to have a little bit of lag, but barbecue, how much do you think it costs for Hella Gunner rides in Texas at a Kalashnikov-based event?
How much for a ride?
Yeah.
And ride and shoot.
Yeah.
10,000.
Oh, come on. This is for regular people. Come on. You're not
regular
owning a helicopter.
I'll bet it's over 500.
Gizzard saying over 500. You sticking with 10,000? Come on.
Well, I mean, if you're, I was thinking you're going to be renting the helicopter yourself, all that fun jazz.
No. This is
but
at an event.
Just for go up there and
a ride, yeah.
Yeah.
I imagine they'll take up a few people all at the same time.
Yeah.
Ooh, just to be, Roy is saying $5,000. Now you got to spread between 500 and $5,000, unless you're going to go higher or lower.
Yeah, it's quite a spread.
Let's say, I'm gonna go in between those two, and say 1,000. I was gonna be a jerk and be like $501.
Well, I was about to say 1,200, but I don't want to make it that close, so I'll say 1,500. Wait, what did Gizzard say? 500?
At least 500.
And what did Barbecue just say? 1,000? All right, I'm going to say 1,500. Just to put me in a place that's a little bit different, but I was thinking 1,200 for some reason. Because I think 1,500 is kind of expensive. Oh, shit. We're a bunch of chumps and suckers.
Oh, let's go.
Is $275.
What?
Let's go.
Oh my gosh.
We don't know shit about helicoptering in Texas.
I knew I should have said $1.
So, Roy, we're not saying nothing. Go ahead and delete that comment.
We're all wrong.
Whoa, that's a massive deal. I feel like if I had money, I'd be in Texas, helicopter gunning all over the place.
That'd be worth it.
Damn. That's the kind of thing I'm here. This is easy for me to say, but I feel like you're a bad parent if you don't take your kid down there to go helicopter. Just saying. It's easy for me to say.
No, I don't think that's makes you a bad person at all. 100%. If you don't take your kid there, you're a terrible person. I mean, if you're within like a 5-hour radius.
I mean, I think that it costs more to go fishing than to go helicopter gunning, and that's super cool. And there's so much to that. The coordination, the knowledge, the being in that club, the familiarization with a helicopter, I don't know what to call the like multitasking accomplishment of like getting the sit rep and doing it, and then the hurdle of like the glitch that everybody thinks doing something that's that complicated or that cool needs some sort of like, must be this tall to enter. Like, damn, that's empowering. Is that the word? Allowed to use it?
That just Does that mean Clover and cool Ghost are out on this one?
What do you mean?
You said you have to be this tall to enter.
No, but you know what I mean? Like, the barrier to entry type of bullshit that a lot of people create that doesn't exist, but they think, oh, I can't do something cool like shoot out of a, oh, you need to be whatever. I just think that destroys that barrier to entry. $275. I think that's just super cool. I don't know if that's a massive discount because of the event or something, but hop on board shooting steel targets with one of our short barrel suppressed M4. Schedule around unique shoot and blah, blah, blah. 9 for a half an hour group safety and orientation. After that, you'll assign a flight You're welcome to go visit and fuck around, basically. And then so basically you go in for a half an hour safety and orientation, and then they take people up, like Izard was saying, probably a couple of people at a time. And then you shoot 50 rounds, and well, I'm not going to read the whole thing, but
it
says something about typically engaging targets from 20 to 50 yards.
But is it necessary to have the M4 suppressed?
No, they say if you want to use your own firearm, you can. It's just that they give you an M4 suppressed if you want.
Well, it's just the suppressor part that gets me. You're going to be in a helicopter. You're going to have on ear protection already.
Oh, I hear you. It's probably just the gun they have. So it looks cool, maybe.
Maybe it's something just to entice people. Oh, I get to shoot something suppressed.
I don't know how it's so cheap. I know that it's really expensive in Vegas, but maybe it's because they got to fly so far. All they're really doing is going up and down, probably. It's not like they're flying all around and jumping up over a house and you're going to come down and do some kind of aerial maneuver or whatever. You're just going to probably go up and be on a unstable aerial platform and then shoot a few rounds, see how difficult it is, and then come back down.
Just hope that when you get up there, the pilot doesn't say, Kobe.
I don't know what that means.
Oh, he's a professional basketball player. No, Kobe Bryant was taking a helicopter ride around Los Angeles or something, and it crashed and everybody died. It was actually really sad.
Oh, shit.
Yeah. That's why I said you don't want to get up there and have your pilot be like, oh, Kobe, because that means you're going down.
So Roy is saying that now he's not going to be impressed anybody. And somebody says they shot a gun from a helicopter. He's going to make a big deal yet, $300. Anyway, that's super cool. Glad we dug into that.
I like that $300 because you're going to tip the helicopter pilot $25 for making sure you make it back to the ground alive.
No, I think I could see tipping a helicopter pilot for giving you that kind of experience.
I think so.
Especially if it's like, hey, take me up, to 200 yards or something. Let me really try shooting this. I don't know if y'all have ever tried shooting down, but that's another element of aerial platforms that they're jumping all around, they're moving. You can kind of get used to it. It's a lot different than a boat, but you can kind of figure out there's some whatever, especially the pilot's hovering or whatever's happening. But angles are crazy. Like if you ever shot off a bridge or off of top of a roof or off of some big rock or whatever shooting down, it just gets weird. Like there's a lot of weird because our bullets drop and we're shooting down. We're used to shooting up or straight. So, it can get kind of odd. Legislatures in New Mexico have proposed 7 new gun laws. And I think our friends from BMC have also mentioned that. I don't know what it is with New Mexico, but I guess it's because there's a bunch of people that move there because it's so cheap and they could just buy so much land or something. And then it became cool because of like Georgia O'Keeffe and those like fancy, weird looking rocks that are, I don't know, beautiful or scenic or whatever, iconic or famous or trendy or something. But some people like bought a bunch of chunks in northern New Mexico. The rest of the people in New Mexico are just kind of normal from what I understand. Or maybe it's because they got like white sands and all those government jobs. Sometimes government workers are a little big government, Speaking of big government, I don't know if you've seen any good jokes. Oh, let's get rid of all of us. Hold on. So this is a picture of a big dog, a medium dog, and a baby dog. And it goes F-15 over 100 aircraft, F-16 over 70 aircraft, and then F-22, 1 balloon. This is from the Pima Air Museum. So there's lots and lots of ones making fun of the F-22, our fanciest plane that's only ever shot down a balloon. But that's the kind of funny stuff that pilots are never going to let that plane live down. Because, they're out there flying things that can probably shoot down what's that show, the Final Countdown? One Raptor can probably take out most of World War II's other air forces or whatever, right? Like, but all it's actually done is take out a balloon right now. So March for Our Lives, is that the kids from Florida? I don't remember, but I don't think it's Shan Shan. How the F is everyone okay with guns being? Unless you get tired. How the F is everybody being okay with guns being the leading cause of death for kids? Young people are pissed, and we're going to do something about it. Stay tuned. 8 is enough. I mean, enough is enough. And then this is Triggerology responding to that. He's a instructor and activist out of California. Dear pissed young people, I hate to burst your bubble, but I don't remember the last time tough words, sit-ins, politicians, or laws stop victimizers. They're only stopped by people skilled and willing to carry out righteous violence. Your safety's on you. So what do you think? Is it worth responding to the youngins? Do they need a persistent response, or does that just embolden, you know what I mean? Is that just what is it just going to lay into their side? I don't know. Do you have an opinion on this one this late at night?
Well, it makes it less of a one-sided argument if somebody at least poses a counterpoint, because this is out on social media for everybody to see.
Good point. In other words, it's kind of obligatory. If we don't do anything, then
Mm-hmm.
we kind of monopolize the platform or whatever, the soapbox.
Right.
This one I thought was pretty cool. Do you guys look at How I Carry or watch her channel at all? She's a I don't know if she's an instructor, but she's certainly like an advocate as far as like normalizing guns for the ladies and just creating a bunch of cool memes, like having fun as like a Instagram girl. That's what I call them, girls that like playing with Instagram, except she's a gun girl. So I think this is just music. So I don't know if that copyrights me or not, but essentially it's just this little short thing where it goes, Grandpa in the 1960s, what you got there? And then she goes, me in 2023, putting your 30-30 against the wall. I just got done using it. And then he goes something like, oh, you're still using that thing? And then she goes, yep. And then over here it says, anyone else have an heirloom that's been passed down through generations? The Winchester Pre-64 Model 94 is one of ours. It's one of the reasons I love lever actions and always will. It makes me feel nostalgic for simpler times. You have a piece that brings back memories. So how often do people think about the ladies out there that are handing down rifles from generational family heirlooms that are still being used? You know, maybe that's part of their, I don't know, Thanksgiving or sometime you may go and shoot a turkey with it, or it's their deer for somebody's birthday, or you know what I mean, like some kind of weird family tradition or whatever. And then the fact that the ladies are sharing that with each other, and again, role models, examples for the girls who are, or anybody who wants to have female role models who are thumbing through those telephones as youngins today. I mean, what kind of world is it out there? And with these kids playing on telephones, and now this is something that they have an opportunity to find. Now, are they or not? I have no idea. It doesn't tell us anymore how many people are liking stuff like it used to. I don't know if that's something that sometimes ladies will turn that kind of stuff off so they don't get people stalking them or anything. But they also change that stuff on platforms. But I don't know if this is actually just me theoretically thinking these are changing the playing field, or if these are changing the playing field. Anyway, I've been chatting for a bit. What do you guys think? Is this indications of change, or is this the one-offs? Is this the unique, random stuff that I'm finding?
Did you say that was How I Carry?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, she was my last Two-Way Women Wednesday interview.
I don't know. There seems to be so much more of this anymore. I think it's a trend.
I guess that's the better question. Is there so much more of this, or am I just am I seeking it out and finding it? And there's more because
each of these people you're pointing out to me, I'm following on Instagram, so I'm picking up some things.
I think it's a little bit of both. The fact that you are seeking it out, obviously you're going to find it more then. But at the same time, I think it's becoming a thing over the last couple of years. So,
right, and it's becoming normalized, and the result of it becoming normalized is more people doing normal things with it. And
yeah.
right, and I can't imagine if she's doing this and she's on my radar from whatever. I forget what. I don't remember anymore. It was years ago when I found her channel and started going, oh, look at these little, I call these TikTok things. I don't know what to call them. I call these little TikTok videos that just loop and stuff. And just have a little, they're essentially memes, right? So they're usually not mean when girls are doing them. So anyway, I guess one of the things I was saying is you can't tell how many people liked it because it's not reporting that. But as I'm scrolling through and looking at the number of comments, that's an indication that there's a ton of people, because usually you get like one comment for every however many views, and one like for however many views. But this many comments is typically an indication that people are, or that a great number of people are checking it out. Gun Owners Radio had an auction, so I thought that was interesting. So I was trying to help them out by clicking on it. This is D. Moliere, a channel that I watch that talks about the cartels and stuff. It's pretty late at night, so I don't know how much you guys want to get into cartels, but in the greater scheme of things, where do you guys, let me just ask it this way. On a scale of 1 to 10, greater scheme of things, 1 being not important at all, 10 being the most important thing on the planet Earth today, where would you put cartels and our awareness and our dealing with and like our resources spent and that kind of stuff? Like, where are cartels on this? Between 1 not important, 10 being super important.
I think it's your turn to go first, Guns.
It's not on too many people's radar. That's right.
Well, as for directly affecting my life, I would say a 1. However, if you pay attention to what is going on at the border, things like that, right now, I think it should be a solid 7. Since El Chapo was captured and his regime kind of dismantled, there's been a power struggle, and the regimes that are coming out on top are very, very dangerous, and they'll kill whoever, whenever, wherever, and they don't care, and that is a huge problem.
So, Gizzard, anybody else who's out there, feel free to throw a number in there.
I mean, I would have went with a 7 or an 8 myself. I mean, not only the damage that the cartel does, but the fact that it's responsible for a good portion of the drugs coming into the country, which are killing people, literally killing people. And you can do education, you can do awareness, you can pass all the laws you want to, but till you can stifle the people who are helping to get it into the country in the first place, you aren't going to make much headway. And I believe in personal freedoms and everything else, but this is just something that is, especially when you're talking about fentanyl and stuff like that, this is something that is just flat killing people. And people are so worried about gun rights and taking guns away from people, we're forgetting about all the real enemies we have out here. This is one of them.
Yeah, for sure. I think that's one of the biggest dangers, is just that there's such a big issue and we're so blind to it. That's what bothers me about it. I'm just aware of it because I live 100-something miles away from that border. So, obviously it's in the news and we're kind of paying attention to it. It affects us because of the residuals from it. We're here with the Border Patrol, and we're here with all the other things, and we've got the checkpoints and stuff. So, we're aware of it. But the fact that there's just a blind spot, or it's another mechanism that's used, and it's such a they'll say the border, the border, the border, but the border is a portion of the bigger issue, and the drugs are a portion, right? But the trafficking, like, that's rarely brought up, and the trafficking is horrible fucking shit. Like, that's something that is tough to think about, how many people are just living life and not thinking about all the people that are living just horrible existences. And it's just there, and it's not fiction, and it's not in the olden days or whatever. So that part of it is definitely frustrating. And the world can't be perfect, and you can't just allocate resources and make things perfect. But this thing is definitely a I guess the result of a bunch of bad decisions, a bunch of give and take, or however you want to say, like, things happened and this filled the void, and it's just a bad set of circumstances, and what filled the void is unhealthy, to say the least. But how it is, as I dig into it, or as I pay attention to it, and more, or as I see layers of the onion unfold, there's no easy answer in any way, shape, or form. It's not as though there's this clear path to a resolution. It's just a very, very deeply tied and frustrating knot. And I think that's obviously one of the reasons why it's still persistent, and it's so involved in it's so entwined or whatever in so many things, that it's going to be a difficult thing to accomplish. But whenever we figure it out, or whatever loosens it up so that it becomes less of an issue and it is achievable, it will have certainly accomplished something. But it's not like cartels are, and they push themselves. They just took advantage of a bunch of situations that were created, and now are exploiting those situations. And they do create things. I'm not saying they're innocent, but you know what I mean. They're not master, whatever the word is, like mastermind criminals that figured this all out years ago, and it's all going according to plan. They're just bad situations that are happening all over the place. Anyway, it's just interesting, and there's whole channels, I suppose. Actually, you can't even talk about it. It's one of those things that you really can't bring up. And I try to champion Demoliere because it's one of the few channels that is persistently putting it up. And one of the most dangerous professions on the planet Earth is being a reporter in Mexico. So giving them credit where credit's due. I don't know if it's affecting my stuff to talk about it, but it's one of those things that you don't see very many people who claim to be cutting edge news ever talk about. And let's move to another cutting edge news. Shan says Michigan does not want required background checks for long, blah, blah, blah. So this talks about gaslighting. So it says Shannon Watting is a definition to gaslight, grift, to pander anti-gun rhetoric, to misguide Americans to believe all firearms are bad. So my question on this one was gaslighting. You guys use that term? Is it something that, I know it's been around for a bit now, but it's just not familiar. It's not a word I've ever grown up on or used very often. Do you use it?
I'm not really a fan of it. I think it's kind of dumb because I understand how it's being used, but I still don't like it because I'm like, okay, my gaslight came on. If you ever been young and dumb and poor and living paycheck to paycheck, gaslight comes on, that's just another day. So I'm like, okay, gaslight's on. You're gonna have to, throw another 3 gallons in this and truck back and forth to work until payday. And by the time I do that, hopefully I'm not having to call roadside to, come bring me a couple gallons of gas or some crap. I think it's dumb.
Wait, is that what that means?
What, gaslighting?
Yeah, that's from an empty tank of gas.
Well, I thought it was referring to the feeling that people get when their gaslight comes on.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not clear on the meaning of it myself.
Well, it says,
Oh, see,
according
this
to
is why it's a
Wikipedia.
dumb thing in the first place.
Yeah, no, exactly, right? So according to Wikipedia, which is never wrong, gaslighting is a tactic for manipulating someone in a way that makes them question their own reality. A colloquialism, the term derives from the title of a 1944 American film, Gaslight, which was based on a 1938 British play, Gaslight. So no, I definitely don't like it if it's
This is
based
even
off a
fucking dumber
fucking
than I
British
thought.
play. Yeah, that's even worse than I thought it was something cool. Holy shit.
I just thought it meant
Derives
like
from
you're
the
getting stressed
title of
out.
the play. No, it made sense when you said gaslight. I'm like, oh, okay, like a unnecessary warning or something, like a
Yeah.
bullshit stress point or something. Well, that makes way more sense than I would have never thought. Well, I guess it makes sense, I guess, that it's a dumbass thing. So, techniques of gaslighting includes deliberately muddying or overcomplicating an issue. That's what I kind of figured it was. Withholding, pretending not to understand the victim, countering, vehemently calling into question a victim's memory despite the victim remembering things correctly, blocking and diverting, so diverting a conversation from the subject matter to questioning the victim's thoughts and controlling the conversation,
So,
trivializing, there's a whole list of them, trivializing, making the victim believe their thoughts or needs are unimportant. I guess this is the last one, forgetting and denial, pretending to forget things that have really occurred. So it's a bunch of like fucking with people, right? Messing with their reality.
police interrogation tactics are just gaslighting.
Yeah, but these are like people in a relationship.
Yeah, I know.
So it's just like messing with people. Can you imagine that'd be just annoying? Just somebody who's like messing with you, like I don't know if that's a bully thing or it's a manipulating thing. I guess. Let's see. So since the 70s, it's been used in literature to describe deliberate attempts by perpetrators to manipulate the victim's perception of stuff. So anyway, I guess it's been around, but they started using it certainly lately. Like I don't remember hearing it or seeing it very often until recently. Constitutional carry still winning that poll. There's another one talking about gaslighting. This is Tony arriving in Phoenix. I don't know if anybody watched this video, but I ended up going over there helping him drag some stuff into this place. It was decent. It wasn't that bad on the surface. It's sort of like a hotel, and you can kind of tell from here. You come in the door, you got this big room, the bedroom, right, is part of this big room, but there's also a couch and stuff right here. But then where he's standing, I don't know if he's going to move the camera over. I think he does. This is all like a big giant rectangle, but then it's like an L shape. And then you got this whole other part over here. I guess I don't even know where the bathroom is, but this is like a big kitchen area. And mainly I'm looking at that table. Like for me, if I had spent, I think he was here for like 4 or 5 days, I could dig that. Because for me, I like having a laptop and a table where I can work at. Having the couch and stuff, if you want to have people over, that gives them a place to hang out. I don't know. What do you guys think? The problem is it was pretty beat up. It was pretty dingy.
It's not too bad. I've stayed in worse.
Yeah, for sure. But I guess it didn't have any like toilet paper.
Oh, wow.
It must have had
crap.
towels, but like no toilet paper or like coffee filters and that kind of stuff. And then the one chair somewhere in there, he shows the chair, and it looks like either a cat or some one of those dogs that'll do the pawing thing, the scraping thing, like went onto the back of this chair and just wailed on it, and they never replaced it. So it just looks really weird and like, kind of beat up. Anyhow, I'm not trying to talk about his business, but it cost a lot of money for him to be here. So anybody that wants to go help out Tony, I'm sure he would appreciate it. It costs a bunch of money to get out to Phoenix. he got help, but they didn't pay for everything for sure. So Rick Ector from Detroit CCW was on with Sandhills on the Get Off My Lawn podcast with Amanda Suffolk. They're both running for NRA board of directors. I don't know if anybody watched that one, but I'm helping them plug their show.
Yeah, I saw part of it.
The Virginia Citizens Defense League. This is weird. So I don't know what the deal is. I posted this just because I like to post stuff like this, but this is actually something that happened, I think, in the middle of January or back in January. So they just, either they're recycling or they maybe just got around to editing. I know that they did have Ed passed away. So I guess now that I'm saying it, I should shut up. They might have just been getting some files from Ed's, with that whole situation with him passing. And that was unexpected. So actually, that's probably what it is. So I'll shut up. Then Smeggy was helping to promote the robot project. We won't spend a bunch of time in the middle of the night like this to talk about it, but we do have a robot project going on right now. Thanks to everybody who's participating. So we've already got enough funding over there. I guess I am going to talk about it for a minute. We have enough funding over there at the project to get another sewing machine to replace what we already had. So we're already going to get a sewing machine, period. We're still raising funds because I'd rather buy the one from Owl and Anchor. But no matter what, there's already enough funds in there to get a sewing machine. And it'll be a better sewing machine than we had, but it'll be a single color. Now, hopefully we'll continue to raise funds and we'll end up getting that one from Owl and Anchor, and I won't get that little one. But no matter what, I can get a new sewing machine. So that's the good news. There will be new custom patches coming. Now the question is, will they be slow or will they be a whole bunch at a time? And then additionally, there's also more money in there so that we are getting a run of patches, and those will be some PVC patches. It's looking like from the voting, it's going to be the design that looks like Mello driving and Bit hanging out the van. So it looks like them two driving the van, kind of. Like a little cartoon version of that. So unless something changes, then that's probably the patch we'll do a patch run of. But we've got a couple other patches coming at the same time. So those will all get kind of ordered and get running. And we'll light a fire under them. And by the time we go get the machine, if everything goes through, by the time we get the machine, go get it from Allen Anchor, our goal is to go pick it up in California while it's still in use, so they can show us how to work it. And then bring it back here. Hopefully those other patches are getting back and we can send everything out at the same time. But yeah, definitely doing well. And we have plenty of time to still continue to do well. So if you're already a participant in the project, thank you. Please help share it around. If you're not a participant or you're not able to, please help share it around. It is how these things work. I only need 100 and something people all together, probably closer to 100 at this point, 100 more people to be part of it. And that, makes great things happen. So I'm looking forward to another successful campaign. Thanks everybody for your support on that. All right, so this is getting back to Gun Owners Radio, another picture, so another way to see that tabletop thing that they do, where essentially they're just sitting there at a table, probably with some brochures and some merch or something, some patches, hopefully some stickers maybe, or probably stickers, maybe some patches, and some brochures, and then answering questions for people that might be curious in front of the store. The kind of thing they do at a gun show, but they're doing it at some store. And then letting people know, that's the other thing. Anybody can just do it, I guess, and then mope that nobody shows up. But they're out there letting people know about it. So now members can go and show up and say hey to each other. Yeah, I'm going to go see who's manning the table today. Or like, oh, I was going to go out anyway. Let's make sure to stop by this shop. Anyway, I think that's pretty cool. There's Tony. Oh, he was talking about he went out to go get something to eat. This place that he stayed at is sort of right by the highway. I think I can talk about it now. It's right by the highway. So he kind of went down around the other side of the highway looking for a restaurant. And then he walked past a weed shop. Those are legal in Arizona now. We have regular kind of weed and medical kind of weed. And he walked past a weed shop and they were trying to get people to buy their weed by giving people free tacos. So he ended up getting free tacos for free. He didn't have to buy no weed or nothing. He just got free tacos.
Heck yeah.
Yeah. He said they were really good too. So I thought this was pretty cool. I don't know if I'm going to be able to get this to where you can see it or not. I don't know if you guys are looking through computers or telephones. If you're DJing this and looking through a telephone, you're not going to be able to see this good. But I'm going to attempt to. Sometimes you can wiggle these things to make it a little bit bigger. Oh man, it's staying super small. Oh, what the hell happened to it there? I don't know. Oh man, that definitely got small. Maybe I'll go this way. Maybe it is this way. Anyway, it's a truck is driving down the highway, and I don't know. Somebody must have just assumed something was up, because it's a truck driving down the highway with a trailer that's wiggling all over the place. It's an empty car carrier behind just an old truck flatbed, and it eventually breaks the hitch and just goes flying. And it's surprising how far a car carrier with nothing up front but the, what is that, the, what do you call that part, the
hitch?
Yeah, it's a hitch on the truck. Well, yeah, the other part of the hitch.
The tongue.
Anyway, tongue. Thank you. But there's no wheel up front, I guess, essentially. It's not like a trike, it's just nothing. I guess there was just enough weight and back that it balanced, and it just scooted along like some kind of land boat. And I don't know if that truck even knew that it went flying, but I mean, it's funny, or it's like crazy looking, but can you imagine how dangerous that is for anybody in any situation at all, in a vehicle, by yourself, on a horseback? I mean, that's just bad news. So anyway, that's why I like this channel, this Ready Man Network channel, because some of this stuff is interesting and useful, but other times it's like, and I definitely don't like seeing things like gas station altercations between people that turn into fights. Like, that stuff doesn't impress me. I'm not looking for that stuff. But this kind of stuff is sort of like watching traffic. What was that called? Driver's ed videos. Like, I don't want to have to see this, but it's nice to know how devastating that can be without anybody getting hurt, so that I will always think twice about hooking up a trailer. You know what I mean? Like, I'll never take for granted what's going on with that trailer back there. I don't know. Maybe it's just, This was the speakers at the Arizona rally. They had, I don't even know, something like 20-something speakers. It was nuts. It was a ton of speakers, and it was a 4-hour event, and they each were going to get 4 minutes or something like that. And I was concerned, like, oh no, what are they thinking? Like, that's so many speakers. And I couldn't have been more wrong. Like, it was so good. Like, wow, it was literally, I mean, I'm bragging because it's our state rally or whatever, but like, it was a good rally. There was good turnout. The vibe, or the crowd, or whatever, was just attentive, and like, not, what's the word, like when people are just zombies to the stage, like, yes, yes, yes. Like, some people were like, whatever, and the people were all being, whatever, but it was, like, not everybody was in lockstep, I guess that's the way to say it. But it wasn't like there were people just out there ignoring what was going on. Like, it was just such a great event. And this is a pretty good video from Gun Freedom Radio summarizing it too. Like, a lot of things did happen. And even with so many speakers, and Tony going like 12 minutes or something, it just worked out. They did go over, but only by like a half an hour or something. And anyway, great event, really cool. And I think it was rejuvenating for a lot of people who may or may not have been a little tentative after the kind of ups and downs that it's had over the last few years. So yeah, just super cool. This one I thought was pretty good. The Texas spy balloon getting ready. I don't know if you've seen the German spy balloon one, a big beer stein balloon from like a float or something.
Mm-mm.
Or maybe it's a hot air balloon. I don't know. But they call that one the German spy balloon. So Tony's been really doing well by posting stuff on Twitter and then taking a screenshot of his Twitter and posting it on Instagram. Who would have thought? But it's really helping out his channel. So kind of like what you're experiencing with the shorts, I suspect you're having good success with the shorts.
Yeah.
Yeah, right on. So I suspect same kind of thing with do a Twitter post, take a picture of it, put it on Instagram. You're welcome. A beginning shooter wants to work on intermediate skills. An intermediate shooter wants to work on advanced skills. An advanced shooter works on the basics. I think that's excellent. And I like it because, to be honest, most people think top tier, ultra deluxe training is something fancy. And in reality, it's basics over and over and over until they can't do anything but correct. And people can't deal with that. They think it's fancy. They think it's something else. They think because they've seen some weird shit that it's something weird. And in reality, it's just doing the basic shit all the time with more ammo than you can imagine all the time, constantly. And you just don't get things wrong when you do it all the time. So you just do it all the time and you just get used to it and you just do it all the time. You don't do things wrong because you do it all the time. But this saying sums it up awesomely. But this saying is from a girl in a gun club. And to hear that the mantra or that mindset or that paradigm or whatever is coming from modern recipients of training and the modern trainers, because girl in a gun club, for people that aren't paying attention, is a massive infrastructure of like 600 ladies that get together in Colorado each year and uptrain and skill build and teach each other. And if this is part of that curriculum, part of that mindset, that's awesome, because it hasn't always been that way. We've definitely had people who show up into the community and go, oh, you're new? Guess what? I have the perfect thing for you. And it's called some complicated BS that they came up with because you're new. You think it's complicated and cool, and you go along doing that. And some people stick with that, but most people figure out after a while, oh, I'm going down the wrong path. I don't think I need to do all this. And they go discover other options. So it's great to see that they're not doing that they're straight up, there's not a lot of frills here. Just do the real stuff. Just do the basics. There's a lot of people that get caught up in the training that hate training. I don't know. You guys know some of the people that hate training. And, well, I think barbecue hates training. What am I saying? Barbecue hates training. And I think it's because you get all caught up in the theater training that happens out there.
No, it's just, well, I guess it depends on what you're classifying as theater training. Because it's not that I hate training. I do like training.
People that have to call every gun a weapon and that, like, take their shit way too seriously and probably have some weird traditions or some, not even a tradition, some weird like thing that you got to do. The kind of people that are going to make you just go through extra pomp and circumstance because they're training. So, for some reason.
I hate the ones that will tell people, if you don't have my training and you end up in a firefight, you're going to die. Or the ones that just think that they are God's gift and can tell anybody whether they can carry or not based on whatever preconceived standard they choose to have for themselves and want to employ that on anybody and everybody else.
All right. So February 19th, it's already passed, but February 19th was National Veterans Girl Rise Day. They recognize on February 19th the nearly 2 million veteran women in our country. Today is also a day for women veterans to share resources with one another, build relationships, and spread awareness of the needs of women veterans. We are thankful to be able to serve both men and women, veterans in our program. Thank you for your service. So my question is, I don't know if Barbecue can tell this or not from the picture. Are these ladies ironically wearing a bunch of weird camo? Or are they just wearing camo that was given to them and they're wearing it without questions asked? Like, what's going on with this camo? Is it intentionally ironic? Or is it unintentional and therefore weird?
Who made the post again?
What?
The post that we're looking at, who made it?
Oh, it's Pets for Vets, totally legit actual organization,
Okay.
but they're just reposting a picture from whatever this Vet Girls Rise Day thing. I don't think that Pets for Vets, put the picture together. They're just reposting a picture.
Yeah. I'm wondering if it was, hey, we need a thing together for our event. So they found a photographer. The photographer's like, oh, I know this agency that's got models. We will get this done. Boom, boom. They sent them the photos. They picked the best one, which apparently was this. And this is what we ended up with.
That's what I'm saying. Or is it these chicks are vets and they're allowed to be vets and have the same relationship with camo that we had from the 80s, and the same way that we'd pick up an 80s, $9.99 Rambo knife and ironically think it's cool. Like if they're like, if they were like, hey girls, grab your camo from your pre-high school camo outfits that you dig, and they all went and grabbed their Woodland from back in the day. You know what I mean? Like then I'm down. Like if this is all like their authentic, like reminiscent, what's the word? I don't know. Like with the stuff that they have fond memories of, then I'm like, right on.
I reckon
but if
it
it's
would
just
depend.
like they picked up whatever camo was at the thrift stop, then I'm like, dang it.
Yeah, I reckon it would depend on how old they are, but none of them looked that old. So I feel like if these were actual service women that were part of this organization and
They're all old. They're old. I think they're old enough. I think so. I don't know.
Because if they were, say in their 50s,
they're
they
not
would.
That old. They're all in their 30s plus, I think, though.
Yeah, but so then you'd think that they'd be wearing digicamo at that point.
Well, that would be the authentic camo of the military, but it wouldn't have been a gun show camo. I'm thinking this is pretty much run-of-the-mill gun show.
But I was thinking with a group in the thing that they're trying to have recognized and everything, they would want it to be more authentic.
That's what I thought too. But on the other hand, they're allowed to be like authentically, what's the word? Like
maybe they took the photo on a Thursday.
Throwback. What do you mean?
Throwback Thursday.
Yeah, no, exactly. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, I can't tell. It's throwing me for a loop. So, either well done or, dang it, I can't tell. Anyway, I didn't know that was a thing. But Harriet Tubman, the first Second Amendment activist, in my opinion. I think this is a quote from her. I had reasoned this out in my mind. There was one of two things I had a right to, liberty and death. If I could not have one, I would have the other. I don't know if I got my head wrapped around it, but essentially she's like, F this. Get guns, help fight the Illinois gun ban. So one, it's a gun shop I like in Illinois, and two, it is doing a fundraiser, and I don't know. What do you guys think? Illinois having their assault weapons ban. I think at this point, this was 3 days ago. So this was while everyone's well aware that there's a stay on that, on all three of them, I guess. Wait, there's a 3 assault weapons ban and there's a stay on all of them, or is there 3 stays on the 1 assault weapons ban? I'm too late at night and I'm trying to remember now, but there's some version of that. There's like multiple things happen and multiple things at play. Now they're and this is a decent gun shop. This is not like a gun shop that's farting around. They've been around for a long time and they're cool, but they're raising funds $5 at a time. Is, I guess, maybe what I'm asking is, when we got the 14th richest dude on the planet on one side and we're over here with $5 at a time, I don't know. Are we doomed, or are we're never going to lose because we've always got, it's like Velcro, like, yeah, maybe 1 or 2 little things will be gone, but we'll always have that panel of Velcro. Like, we're going to be strong no matter what. I don't know. Maybe I'm reading too much into it. It's pretty late. 3 hours into this show.
I'm thinking about it still.
Sorry, I was muted. The more and more I see, it seems like to me we keep coming at them.
Yeah, and this doesn't seem desperate. Like, oh no, like squeeze the last moisture out of your sponges, everybody. This is more like, let's just keep it going. Here's $5. Like, we don't have to kill each other, or we don't have to break the bank. We don't have to pull the belt tight yet. But let's keep the money coming in.
Yep.
This is a tougher one to talk about. So Dragon Man, pretty awesome dude, and his daughter Melissa is helping out at the shop and helping run the business, the social presence, and she's an instructor and empowering ladies and creating awareness and all that good stuff in Colorado Springs. But one of the things that happened in their story is that Dragon Man's wife, while filming a show for A&E television place, a piece of ordnance went off and she was killed during the filming, and that happened obviously when everybody was, this was just a few years ago, 11 years ago, so they were all aware. They weren't infants or anything, and they decided to keep going with the museum and with the business. And then his wife was integral to the operation, so it was a difficult decision for lots of reasons. So I'm not going to try to act like I know more than that, but there's these are real people with real lives and invested in the community and in their project ultimately, and they share it. They don't hide that. They share it. It's part of their story, and they respect her and honor her with keeping that alive, keeping that part of it. All right, so then you've got the 8th annual, let's see, so then 10 days from this post, which is 3 days ago, so 7 days from today, on February 28th, will be the 8th anniversary of the National African American Gun Association, NAGA. So essentially 3 big organizations came out of 2015 for African American kind of sector of the gun community in different directions. Actually 4 if you count Maj. So it's interesting, and just like anything, they were all there was probably some origin story or some similarity in the origin story, something that was similar with the people that started the different event or the different organizations that maybe had some, like Red Dawn for a lot of us, or Platoon for a bunch of people for their reason to go into the military or something. And then something in 2015 that just, decided to start working. But anyway, there's probably other things that started too that we're not aware of because it didn't last or it didn't go national. But National African American Gun Association has still stuck around and is now eight years strong. And one of my favorite things about it is that, unlike the NRA, which says we're a national level organization, if you want to be whatever, a chapter in state, city, whatever, here's the rules. Here's how you set it up, and here's what you do. Here's how you set up your meeting, and here's the roles you have, and blah, blah, blah. Now you're an NRA, whatever you are, whatever, chapter or something. With this organization, it's a national level organization that unites a bunch of other organizations. So all the regional, state level, local level organizations, gun clubs, and things are what they are, and they essentially become part of the NAGA. So
there it is again. Son of a.
Huh?
Sorry, there's like a tapping or something happening. I feel like I'm getting waterboarded.
Oh, is that happening from my end? Are you hearing it?
I have no idea where it's coming from.
I think so.
Is it my dog snoring?
No, it's very rhythmic.
Is it tapping a tail or something? Or
No. It have a bunch of fans.
It had subsided for like 30 seconds. Yeah, it goes off in like a series of 5, and then it will it pauses for a second, then it goes off again in a series of 5, and then it pauses for a second. But
maybe it's this thing rubbing against the light. Did it stop now? Did that change anything?
I'm not hearing it right now, so maybe.
Okay, I had this thing, and maybe it's the way that the table is all. I got like my robot arms holding my lights up in the air and stuff. So
I was starting to wonder if the G in this stood for Daily Guantanamo Show. I was like, oh my god.
So now this one is from Tony at the rally. So this is Tony walking around and doing selfies and hanging out and taking pictures and stuff, right? There's him with Bit. And then, so that gives you an idea of the show, right? And I think, I don't know if it'll be the next one or not, but I think there's a comparison there. Let's see. That's him snoring. Can you hear him snoring?
Yes, can hear him snoring.
Okay. Where am I going to find that thing? Let me go to, why didn't I? Anyway. Let me go back. So that was Tony's thing. Do we have any kind of link to it? This is just the people that said, oh, there it is. So we got this, and then, dang, where am I going to find the, oh, it was somebody photography. Dang, I don't know how to get to it. Somebody did a drone thing is what I was trying to find. Somebody did like a drone fly around of the rally, and I was just going to show like the difference between, you know, Tony standing on the ground, and he's tall. He's not like short or nothing. He's like reaching his hands up and, you know, poking his phone around or whatever. But that, you know, what that can do compared to what the drone was able to do was just nuts. Just freaking nuts. So let's see. So Charlie went to Massachusetts spent the day learning about Massachusetts gun laws, 4 hours. So what's up with that? I don't know if anybody heard about that, but it looks like Gun Owners Action League had a get-together. That's Carrie Ann from Sisters in Arms, and that's Charlie, and then I don't know who that is, and then it keeps flipping. I don't know who that guy is. I don't know who she is. That's the guy from Goal, though. So I guess Goal had a advocacy up training 4-hour seminar. How awesome is that? So if you're thinking about doing a show or whatever, like I hope that I can get Charlie on, or maybe the guy from Goal, or maybe Carrie and Charlie and the guy from Goal to come on and do an after action tomorrow. at 4 p.m. my time, I'll be having Tony and Cheryl on to do an after action of the rally. So maybe that'll be my thing this year, is having people on after the events to talk about how the event went. That could be my thing. Let's see. I don't know how to say that. Something style says, hey, I can't stick around. Just wanted to say I'm up here in Canada. It was a slow play, license for safety, magazines for safety, scary guns banned, all semi-autos banned. We hear you. This show is since 2016, and it was started halfway by a Canadian who came down here. And we totally understand that you got horrible laws up there. And we stand with you, just a little bit south of you. But that sucks. And if there's anything we can do, we'll attempt. We'll wing some ammo over the fence for you. Hey, that way you can understand what I said.
We got you, buddy.
Another one from Rick talking about, which one is this one? Robert Smalls. This one's actually pretty neat too. So this dude, you ever heard of Robert Smalls before?
Mm-mm.
I guess this is in 1862. So I always put everything in perspective of those 22 short was invented in 1850, essentially. Maybe it was 1854, but like 1850-ish. So this is just after the invention of the cylinder revolver. Robert Smalls and a crew composed of fellow slaves, in the absence of the white captain and his two mates, slipped the steamer off the dock, picked up family members at a rendezvous point, and then slowly navigated through the harbor. He acted like the captain, put on his hat, and did all the codes and signals and stuff for the Confederate checkpoints, got out of Fort Sumter and cleared everything, booked out into the open sea, and then raised a white flag and surrendered to the Union. And in fewer than 4 hours, he booked out of there, took one of their freaking boats, brought his family and all the people that he had on the boat's family to safety. He delivered 17 passengers, 9 men, 5 women, 3 children to freedom. I thought that was pretty cool. Cool little
That
story.
is cool.
People are doing that for Black History Month. This should just be Black History like Wednesday or something. Do it whenever you feel like it. Do stuff on a month or whatever.
Actually, that'd probably be a better deal that way. I mean, they get more days out of it in the year that way.
Right? Yeah, exactly. Plus, it's just, what the hell. I guess months are cool or whatever, but whatever. So, thanks to everybody who's sharing the project around. I made up some graphics playing around with the different magic softwares that we have these days. I've sent out, I don't know, dozens and dozens, I think, of codes to people that are interested to help out or that, do things and whatever might be interested in the code. And the reason I do that is because then, if somebody sends out a code and a bunch of contributors come in from it, that's how I'll help figure out what order to start making people's projects in, So looking forward to that, if the machine goes through, looking forward to being able to play with that thing. Let's see. So Kalashnikon is a different event that happens. This one happens in Missouri. So there's a couple of different Kalashnikov-based or focused get-togethers, shoots. Call them Shoots Plus or something, right? So this is another one, and this one has a sponsor. We're thanking one of their sponsors. I might have mentioned that we're getting a robot that can sew stuff. So in order to put hats on the list and to add a new perk, keep it fun, added this mock-up of what a hat might look like with the, Chairs Against the Wall logo on it. This is from one of the libertarian channels. It says, without the government, who would destroy the roads and the hospitals and the churches and the schools? And then it's got Godzilla and the other folks and Mecha Godzilla getting all mad at the government. I just thought that was funny.
I like that.
Who would destroy the roads? This one is also pretty funny. So I'm going to refresh it. I think that's how you refresh it. And put the volume on.
Woman! Woman! Woman, there's a woman over there! What? There's a woman outside! All right, miss, you're coming with me.
I'm sorry, officer. What is this about?
Women now have the same rights as a gun, and here you are outside, unregistered, unconcealed. Where is your own actual badge, woman? You're gonna have to get in the trunk. You have to get in the trunk, locked up securely, separate from your ammo.
What's my ammo?
Like, we haven't figured that part of the analogy out yet. It's probably your makeup or something. Just get in the trunk! Get in the trunk!
Oh my god,
That's
so amazing.
great.
Oh my god,
And that's brought to you by the same channel that wails on Shan Shan. Or no, I thought that, no, it won. I think a couple of channels have posted that, but that one's from 1 Million Moms. Excuse me.
Woman! Woman! Woman, there's a woman over there! What? There's a woman outside! All right, miss, you're coming.
Because we've all seen the your guns have more rights than whatever, that kind of.
yep.
And then, does anybody seen the 14-year-old testifying for DC Project?
Mm-mm.
All right.
I think I have.
This just was today, I think. So
Then no.
I think I heard it today. So here it is now.
I'm in the 9th grade. And like every other American kid, I know what it feels like to wonder if my school is going to get shot up. Wonder if it really is just a drill. And wonder what would happen if my friends or I never got to go home one day. I too know what it's like to hear about the next school shooting in the news and wake up later that night spooked. That's part of the reason why I left the public school system. I was scared because I knew that no one around me was educated and competent enough to protect us. I would prefer to have armed school staff if they are willing and capable. Also, my understanding is that this bill will not let my parents carry on school grounds. And that doesn't make any sense to me, especially given the police response in Uvalde. Why would it be illegal for them to carry a firearm to protect me on school grounds? I would like to see my parents be able to carry their firearm wherever we go. I was taught firearm safety as a kid, starting with knowing not to touch mom and dad's guns, and later learning how to properly use a firearm. We can't legislate away violence, but we can educate parents and teachers and empower them to be self-reliant and protect their loved ones. Like everybody else here, all these other kids. Hello, my name is Mesa Tapino.
So they've got the kid from Florida and, the folks. So we've got people on our side as well.
I like it.
How about that? I like that.
So I'm trying to figure out how I got off of my things all the time. So I got to figure out how to start opening these things in a new window so I don't keep losing my place. We're getting close to the end though. Wait a minute. Yeah, that was pretty close to the end. So then there's.
You could call Chris Chang an ambassador at best and a salesman at worst.
Josh Sugarman is with the Violence Policy Center.
You could call Chris Chang an ambassador at best and a salesman at worst.
So that guy's a douche. And that's just a clip of the article that is pretty weird. So definitely some mental gymnastics, I guess you could say, to create a countermeasure to the effective normalization of guns that's been happening that I keep championing all the time. So if you find the longer version of that one, you'll see that it's a pretty effective, I think, what is it? I forget the mainstream media that presents that article or that presentation we just seen there, but they interview Chris and they talk about some stuff, and then they use that Josh Sugarman quote at the end there to justify their misrepresentation of everything they just reported on. However, they still just reported on everything, the normalization of guns for 3/4 of the article, and then that weird perception of things, and it's possible that that's not sinking into people, but I think, you know, that's, I see the potential, I see the positive there. But anyway, I don't know if I'm getting too tired or if I'm speaking too much for you, or what I was saying there. So next is Susan from Worthwhile Fun on YouTube, Susan Myers on Instagrams. There's ladies out there constantly doing it, being at these testimonials. I don't know how else to champion other than to mention that they're doing what they're doing. But today, Wednesday, February 22nd, she'll be there testifying to as another committee to get, like she says, give voice to the women who know red flag schemes can just as easily be used by an abuser or bitter ex to disarm them. And that is the narrative that's ignored or not brought up when they're agenda-based, you know, explanation of their crazy laws. So again, this is a lady who's taken it upon herself to follow through on this goal of normalizing guns and changing the face of gun ownership. Best we can do is keep talking about it and encouraging them, giving them the support that we can until we can change the industry and the community to realize the real superheroes out there and fund them. They're doing this on their own dime with their own time. They're taking time away from their own families for everybody. True Minutemen, except they're women. And some of them are men, I suppose, but most of the real effort is being done by these ladies that show up at these testimonials to change the politicians' understanding of who gun owners are. And I guess that kid. That's it. That's all I had on Instagram. So I guess it's a quick 3-hour show this evening that started like an hour late because Barbecue decided to just run his show right up into the pier. Whatever that movie is about the boat that wasn't going to stop.
Mm-hmm.
Ran right into the ground. That's basically what he did to my show. My show was the innocent pier there to help people get out of the water, and he just ran his big ass boat right into it, ruined it.
There's the Titanic. We never let go.
We went through a bunch though. That was a whole bunch of Instagrams. So I've definitely been spending too much time on the Instagrams. My new phone tells me how much time I spend on the phone. But my old phone didn't, so I don't know if I'm spending a lot of time on the phone or not. I forget how many hours it is, but I was like, oh, doesn't seem like that many, considering I pretty much live on the internet, you know. It was something like a number of hours, and I was like, no, I thought it'd been a lot more than that. Does anybody pay attention to how long they're on the internet?
No.
Either for the internet bill or for like that where your phone just nags you about it?
Nope.
All right. Well, with that, okay, we can end this thing at 3:03. I think that's appropriate, even though British calibers are lame. The 3:03 is kind of a cool one. So
303 Savage.
Okay, well, we're going to end it on that then. Thanks, Gizzard. He has a show on Fridays. Thanks, Barbecue. He has a show on Tuesdays, Thursdays, and sometimes on Wednesdays. And we're here every weeknight at midnight. And I don't know if I can still jam this in, but I'm going to try.